to 75 Thursday, highs from 68 to 78. Then showers return on Friday with a high 65 lakeside, 70 inland. Right now, Madison 54, Green Bay 52, 49 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the Monday edition of the show. Rainy, cold. It's going to get better. I guarantee it. If you want to listen, if you want to watch us while we do this, we've been doing this for the last couple of weeks. The cameras are going to be turned on in just a moment. You can watch us on our live stream. You can get it through YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel for WTMJ. Who knew? Or simply go to the WTMJ.com website, and there's that button that says Listen Live, and you can click that to listen. Or if you want to watch, you can click the button that says Watch Live and watch how the program goes on. I'm going to the Brewers game tonight, so I'm wearing my old school, Brewers jersey and things like that, my Brewers top today. So looking forward to that. A lot of stuff to cover on today's program. Oh, by the way, I also want to mention that if you can't listen to the entire show, we make it easy. We have our podcasts that are also available anywhere you get your podcasts, and I see the numbers. Know a lot of people listen that way as well, so I very much appreciate it. Let's get started. I have had a degree of frustration that has been simmering all weekend. And it's really frustrating for me because I don't like to talk about problems unless I've got at least a solution to propose. Now, you might think it's a bad solution, but at least it's a solution that we can discuss. I'm kind of at my wit's end, though, when it comes to some of the out-of-control violence that's going on. If you had not watched the story, Friday night was, of course, Cinco de Mayo, the celebration of Mexican culture, right? And there was a huge gathering that formed on the South Side on Friday evening, like street celebrations and things like that. Some people described it, at least at the beginning, as, oh, this was a family celebration. Well, it might have been that way at the beginning, but by the end of the evening, the only family that was involved is if this was like the Addams family, okay? It wasn't the Osmond family by the time the evening had worn on. Here's the way the local newspaper describes it, and if you want to see some of the video, you can follow me at Jeff Wagner 620. That's on Twitter. But the stuff is out there. Bob Donovan, who used to be the alderman that represented that area, now he's a state representative. He captured a lot and sent this as well. So you've got this large gathering supposedly out there to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. And the crowd turned really, really, did I say really ugly? You've got a number of fights that are going on. You've got people with guns. Well, here's the way the local newspaper describes it. A video posted on Twitter and taken before shots are fired, there was 2 separate shooting incidents at least, shows a crowd gathered around 3 women who are fighting each other. As the fight grows more violent, multiple police officers enter the crowd to break up the altercation. Officers can be seen pulling the women from each other as objects are being thrown. Okay, so let me just back up here. You have this massive fight that breaks out. You have the police who are responding. They're trying to pull the women apart from each other. And if you watch this video, you have a huge crowd that is gathered. People are throwing things at the cops as they try to break up the fight. In addition, and this is something they don't mention in the local newspaper, what you will see is there are tens of people surrounding this scene. Nobody's helping break up the fight. Nobody's trying to assist the police officers who are having stuff thrown at them. Everybody's standing there with their cell phones out, just filming this brawl and filming all this. All right, so the story continues. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman said early Saturday morning that several officers were sent to the area due to a large crowd that was engaged in reckless behavior. Now, Bob Donovan, state representative and former alderman, says that they were taking cops from all over the city and rushing them into this area to try to get the crowd under control. Don't know how many police were pulled from other assignments around the city, but clearly that happened. The police chief said a short time later, several individuals started firing what he called celebratory gunshots. One of the videos posted on Facebook is filmed on a phone and shows a group of people running from the scene as shots are fired. A series of rapid shots are heard at the beginning of the video, but the source of those shots is never shown. As the video progresses, less rapid shots are heard before a video captures a police officer repeatedly shooting at a man who is lying on the ground 10 to 20 feet in front of him. In the video, a woman can be heard screaming, "Oh my God, they killed Dion," as a group of people pleads with the officer to stop shooting. Interestingly, I don't think anybody was pleading with Dion to stop shooting before all this happened. Shortly after this, a handful of officers start to surround the man on the ground and ask the crowd to disperse. Norman said Saturday that one man suffered non-life-threatening injuries while the other suffered serious injuries, but it stabilized by early Saturday. He said in both cases, officers gave the men several commands to drop their guns. And again, what apparently happened is there were two separate shootings that occurred with people who had pulled out guns and were shooting the guns up in the air. You watch this video, and again, you see these fights going on. The cops are trying to break up the fight. The crowd, nobody's helping. They've got their phones out. They're videoing it. People are throwing stuff at the police. If you follow me on Twitter, after watching this, I mean, my reaction was this. Why would anyone want to be a cop? Police try to break up a brawl while dozens of people stand by partying and recording the events with their phones. Every day, seriously, this community moves closer to becoming Escape from New York. You know, the movie where you just kind of like walled off the island of Manhattan and kind of let the criminals do whatever they want. My note says, actually, it might already be there. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank and Talk and Text line. This is, in some respects, why we can't have nice things, I guess. You know, you have this celebratory party and things like that, and what happens is it quickly gets out of control. You have people with guns that show up. They start shooting off the guns. You have people that get into fights. You have a crowd that apparently is egging on the people who are in the fights, and at the very least, they're standing by and they're filming all this stuff while it's going on instead of assisting the police. And you know, people are looking at this, they're taking these films, and the idea is, okay, let's see if we can watch the police response, and let's see if we find officers that engage in excessive force while they're trying to separate people who are fighting, or let's try to film this, because then it's going to be, oh, this is police brutality, this is out of control policing and all that sort of stuff, when the truth is, you know, this is a situation where you have these police officers that are called in, and it's gotten out of control because of the crowds, and more importantly, because too many people in the crowds have no impulse control at all. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank Talk and Text line. Now, I was going to start off the program today by saying, okay, what's the solution? Is it more arrests? Is it curfew enforcement to break up these crowds? But you know what? All that is like putting a Band-Aid on an underlying problem. And the underlying problem is you have people who have no sense of right and wrong. You have people who have no impulse control. And into this, we expect the police to come and provide order. And at some point in time, you got to wonder how often can we expect the police to do that? Our number is 855-616-1620. If you can't tell, I'm extremely frustrated by this, particularly people not helping the cops, people standing by, people with their cell phones out videoing this, people throwing stuff at the police officers. I mean, seriously, why would anyone want to be a cop and get assigned to have to deal with stuff like this? I'm sure the tendency is, okay, if this is the community that people want, all right, maybe we should just give them the community we want. Let this get out of control. Let people get beat up. Let these fights happen, and then see how long it is before maybe the good people who live in this community say enough is enough. But it's the start of the summer season. It's only early May, and given what I saw on these videos on Friday night, I don't have a lot of hope for the rest of the summer. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank Talk and Text line. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hi, it's Brian Noonan from WTMJ Nights. I've got some big news. Starting now, you can download WTMJ Nights wherever you get your podcasts. That's right, you can enjoy our nighttime fun anytime you want. Find WTMJ Nights on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Local news, national stories, random silliness. You'll get a bit of everything on WTMJ Nights. So join me, Brian Noonan, weeknights from 6 to 9 here on WTMJ, the WTMJ mobile app, or wherever you get your podcasts. WTMJ Nights. Listen whenever and wherever you want.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Watch out. That old deck might cost you more than a weekend of upkeep, painting, staining, or replacing old boards. That old deck on the surface may look awful and quite embarrassing in your pictures. Beyond the surface, that old deck could be a potential hazard waiting to happen. There are many inspection points to know if your deck is ready to support your family and friends for the weekend party, or if you've lost trust and need to replace before the big problems happen to you. Many old decks on single-family homes were built by the weekend warrior or the know-it-all do-it-yourselfer. These are weekend projects rushed to be finished by the Sunday evening deadline, maybe even built with a couple cases of beer nearby. Often steps are skipped, process is lost, or even material looked over to finish the job before work on Monday. We find when replacing these types of decks, they were never securely put together to begin with, resulting in the high risk of failure. Not my deck, people say. We use the right stuff. Meanwhile, they never secured or poorly secured the ledger board to the house, didn't use enough or the right hangers, had the wrong lumber to support the size of the deck, or just plain did a bad job. All of which can result in trip hazards, flashing issues, or worse, problems supporting the weight load of your loved ones. As you entertain your family and friends, be proud of how beautiful your deck looks, as well as how you can show off the cool inspection report knowing everyone is safe because your deck was built by the right people.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for outdoor decks. Also replacement windows, roofing, and of course siding. Take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more.
Wagner on WTMJ.
Eight 616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. I don't mean to start Monday out with this level of frustration, but if you weren't watching Friday night, South Side, big Cinco de Mayo party, and it's fine up until, I don't know, about 9 o'clock at night, maybe 9:30, when the tone and texture completely changes. You got a whole bunch of people engaging in reckless behavior. There's people with guns that are firing the guns off. There's these fights in the crowd. The police are called to respond. There's a video of at least 3 cops trying to break up this fight between 3 women who are just wailing at each other. People start throwing stuff at the police who are there. Everybody else is standing by the side. You just see this one person after another. Woman's climbing up on a car with a cell phone, trying to video as the police are trying to struggle to get these women to stop beating the you-know-what out of each other. There's people with guns. 2 people are shot, one 17-year-old, one guy in his 30s, who are in the crowd firing, refusing instructions to drop their guns. So there's 2 separate police shootings. But it's this out-of-control mayhem. You've got cops who are apparently, according to the state representative Bob Donovan, being called in from all over the city because this is an out-of-control mob, and it's only May 5th. And I don't have a good answer. But I'm telling you, if we don't get a handle on this, or more importantly, if people don't learn how to behave in large groups, it's going to be one heck of a long summer. Let's start with Rebecca in Burlington. Rebecca, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, Jeff. My question is, actually, it's not so much my question. My comment is an answer to your question about why the people aren't stepping in to help the police officers or to help protect others. Look at what happened in the subway in New York last week.
Yeah.
That Marine who stepped in to help the passengers looks like he's being charged with murder.
Yeah, the guy who put
in?
You had the out of control homeless guy, and you had the ex-Marine who put him in a chokehold. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the guy who was causing the problem should not have been out on the streets for a variety of infractions.
Right.
And yet there he is, repeatedly intimidating, threatening, harming people. And when somebody finally stops him, the guy who stops him is in trouble.
Yeah, no, thanks for the call, Rebecca. It is a weird thing. Now, I don't know. I got to tell you something, though. As I'm watching this video, I don't think the vast number of people who were throwing stuff at the police on Friday night or videoing it, I don't think their concern was, gee, I want to help try to break up this fight. I'm afraid that I might end up get charged with something. It was more like, oh, this is it's street theater that's going on here. Here, I want to film this. I want to be able to put this up on Twitter or put this on Facebook or whatever. And if I catch an example of a police officer engaging in what some people might say is overly, they're doing too much violence or whatever, then I'm going to be famous because I'm going to be the one that has this. Meanwhile, you've got a handful of cops that are outnumbered by an out-of-control mob. And I seriously wonder, at some point in time, how do we stop this? And how do you find cops who are willing to rush into this? How long is it going to be before you have police officers who say, okay, we've got another one of these street events that is completely out of control, there's all these brawls, and the cops just sit and say, well, all right, why don't we just let this go? Because if we get into the middle of it, people are going to throw stuff at us. Where did this become the new normal, for goodness sakes? Marty in Oak Creek. Marty, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Just last night, my wife said, oh, James Taylor's coming to town, and I said, Summerfest, because we're not going. That's just how we feel about the summer. I don't trust Milwaukee. I don't want to go. But at the same time, I would give license to the police to just do mass arrests.
Mm-hmm.
If you can pull out a phone and tape it, you're not helping anything. You're in the way. Arrest them. And then start searching. Are they here illegally? All the different things. I'll bet you there's a lot of illegal guns there.
Well, I'll bet you there are a lot of illegal guns because there were all sorts of people that were shooting off the guns.
Exactly.
There were. Thanks. I guess that's the question, and that's something the community is going to have to decide. And I don't know what the answer is, but we get the community that we ask for. So imagine this, and again, okay, this is Cinco de Mayo, but next Friday there's some other massive street event or whatever that starts to get out of control. So here is the question that people have to answer. Do you want to see a massive show of force by the police where you pull up, you announce, okay, we've got a curfew here, it's time, you've got to disperse, etc., and you tell people to go home? And if people don't go home, do you want the police to start making arrests? Is that what's going to happen? Do you want police to start being aggressive and pulling people over who are carrying guns and things like that? When the fights break out, do you want police to show up en masse, start making arrests of the people who are involved in the fights, and start filming stuff themselves? So if you've got a bunch of people who are throwing stuff at the cops while they're trying to do their job, do you want them arrested? Now, that's the decision we have to make. Because it seems to me it's one way or the other. Either you want to have civil order and you want to have the people who are misbehaving arrested and then prosecuted, John Chisholm, or alternatively, why send the police into a situation like this? If we're not going to enforce the laws, if we're just going to let these crowds get out of control, we're going to let people shoot off the guns, then maybe the other question is that what the community wants? Is that what is acceptable? Just let everybody then go. And if there's property that's destroyed, well, that's too bad. If there's people that are shot, that's too bad. But is that what the community is asking for? And again, I'm not just talking about the people that were there on Friday night. I'm talking about people all across the community, because this happens way, way, way too often. Large crowds gather at the lakefront. Large crowds gather here. Large crowds gather there. We're going to have to figure out over the course of the next couple weeks and months how we're going to deal with this garbage. That's the truth. And we're going to have to decide, are we going to be aggressive in going out and prosecuting the bad actors, whoever they might be, or are we going to just simply say this is the community that people want, and so let's just turn a blind eye to it and just try to sort it out after it's over? And I'm sure there is an incredibly high frustration level on the part of the police chief. Can you imagine? It's Friday night, and you've got, again, it's something that apparently it turned ugly at a certain point in time. And I don't know whether that's 10 o'clock or 10:30 or 11 o'clock, but you had a lot of families that were participating in a celebration. The families go home and the troublemakers stay. And that's what you saw. So I guess that's what we need to hear from the community. And by the way, I listened to some of the stuff on the news and some people saying, well, we just need more activities. And okay, give me a break. All right, if you're out at 11 o'clock at night with a gun in the middle of a crowd firing off that gun, the answer isn't universal driver's ed. The answer isn't, after school basketball. The answer is, you need to either leave that gun at home, go find something productive to do, or you need to have consequences. And my question is sincerely, are we as a community willing to say we want to have consequences for the people who are the bad actors? Or moving forward, if we're not going to do that, why put the police in the middle of this stuff? And now you're going to get a lot of attention. Well, the police had to shoot 2 people who refused to drop the guns that they had that were in the middle of the crowd. Well, okay, some people are going to see the police as bad guys, and inevitably there's going to be people out there looking to hire lawyers to sue the cops. Then the question is, okay, what are you doing firing off a gun in the middle of these crowds in the first place? And what are these out-of-control crowds doing as well? Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner. All the glitz and glamour headed our way. And we've rolled out the red carpet just for them.
And a chopper up the third baseline, charging as Anderson. Bare hand throw across his body. Oh, my goodness. Brian Anderson.
It's the Brewers and the Dodgers. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05.
Backhanded by Adames. Throw, one out to first. In time. Oh, what a play by Adames.
We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Hey, business owners, are you feeling the pressures of growing your business? It's tough to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Insperity brings over 35 years of HR experience to help you with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance while giving your employees competitive benefit options. Your people can thrive, your business can adapt and prosper with Insperity. Look, the truth is nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Differentiation Officer Brian Wickert reminding home shoppers that working with Accunet is different and better than working with your bank. Most bank pre-approvals state they've only verified the potential home buyer's credit, but not their income or money for down payment. To us, that's just crazy. Accunet's rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval tells the seller we've checked out all 3 aspects of your financial health, and that we'll pay $2,000 if our pre-approval is faulty. Banks don't do that, but they do have a lot of overhead with all their vice presidents and fancy branches. We keep overhead low, which means lower rates and closing costs that are typically $1,000 to $3,000 lower than banks. Most importantly, our loan consultants can show you and your agent how to improve your financing and appraisal contingencies so your offer has the best chance of winning in a multiple offer situation. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Click on the blue button today for your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. I'm sorry, it's just aggravating. Jeff, I just sold my last 2 rental properties in Milwaukee. No longer felt safe. Over the years, spoke with many police that worked in the area. They're hesitant to get involved. They arrest someone just to see them out on the streets the next day. So what's the point to arrest anyone? Also, the police have families they want to go home to. They don't want to get shot at by somebody that's out on the streets that should not be. Incarcerate the criminals, get them off the streets. That is the solution. Yeah, it's the solution, but it's a politically incorrect solution. And so we're going to, I'm afraid, have to put up with more of this stuff as the summer goes on. WTMJ Breaking News time is 12:32 p.m. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here's Connie Weber.
Thanks, Jeff. Law enforcement officials says federal investigators are looking into whether the gunman who killed 8 people at a Dallas area mall expressed an interest in white supremacist ideology. The official cautioned the investigation into the shooting, including the motive, is in its early stages. Federal agents have been reviewing social media accounts they believe 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia used and posts that expressed interest in white supremacist and neo-Nazi views. Man drowned at the Pike River near Carthage College in Kenosha Sunday near Alford Park Drive and Sheridan Road, west of the campus. No names released yet. Nearly 2/3 of the money spent during the 2023 Wisconsin Supreme Court race came from outside groups. The Wisconsin Democracy Campaign says the record $28.8 million was nearly 6 times the previous record set back in 2020. The total amount spent during the race estimated at over $42 million. Jenna Protasiewicz won the election with over 55% of the vote. Industry analysts say the decline in oil prices could bottom out soon. Citi's global head of commodities research said even though prices are in a 3rd consecutive weekly decline, there are signs they're the lowest they'll be. Ed Morse told CNBC inventories building during the beginning of the year and then coming off shows that. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Mixed bag on Wall Street right now. The Dow is down 82 points. The Nasdaq is up 10. The S&P 500 is down just a fraction. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. 94 westbound from downtown to the zoo, about a 6-minute drive. The zoo to Highway 16 running about 11. 41 southbound from Highway Q to the zoo interchange, about a 14-minute drive. 43 northbound from the Marquette interchange to Brown Deer Road running about 10 minutes. And 94 southbound from Marquette to Layton Avenue running about 6 minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by the all-new Burghardt Sporting Goods. The all-new Burghardt Sporting Goods, the Midwest's best baseball and softball training facility and retail center, is now open in New Berlin.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast: patchy fog, rainy conditions, cloudy the rest of the day with a high today of only 50, mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 45, becoming sunny tomorrow with highs ranging from 61 lakeside to 73 inland, sunny on Wednesday, highs from 66 to 75, and mostly sunny Thursday, highs 68 to 78, then Friday showers possible with a high 65 lakeside and 75 inland. Right now in Appleton, we have 52 degrees, 47 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1235.
People on our text line are poking the bear. One of the notes says, Jeff, how about the Office of Violence Prevention? Yeah, this is the Milwaukee Office of Violence of Prevention that in 2021 got over $12 million, I believe, in taxpayer money. Its regular budget, when you don't have the COVID money, is like $5.6 million. Yeah, how's that Office of Violence Prevention doing to stopping things like have been happening on a regular basis, including the travesty that went on last Friday night? $5.6 million. Well, we're sending people to conferences. Yeah, good luck with that. When we come back, a tale of 2 schools. Who's got it right and who's got it wrong? I'll explain. We'll discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You ever ask yourself the question, what do I want to be known for? Do you know the answer? Are you in the right place to realize those aspirations? If not, LAK's Career Fit program can get you there. They'll work with you to create a roadmap to get you on a trajectory toward career fulfillment and renewed meaning in life, so you can truly discover what you were meant to do. Find out more about Career Fit. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group, discover your human advantage.
Lance Farm and Fleet is your one-stop shop for all your seasonal supplies. Like a 115-volt Hobart Handler 140 MIG welder, on sale $649.99. 5-quart jugs of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil in assorted grades, $22.99 after $10 mail-in rebate. And stay safe with auto-darkening welding helmets from KT, available in a variety of patterns, priced at $69.99.
Find value at Lance Farm and Fleet. Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But now, you can buy Beautyrest Hybrid and the highest-end Tempur-Pedic mattresses for nowhere near highest-end prices. Hassleless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models. These mattresses are the best, and you can get them for way less. like the Beautyrest Queen Haven Bay, was on sale for $1,178, now just $471. Or the Beautyrest Hybrid King Harbor Oaks was on sale for $3,099, but the floor model is just $854. Plus, save big on Sealy adjustable bases, originally marked $984, now on sale for just $392. It's like buying a Rolls Royce for $10,000 just because it sat on the showroom floor. Selection is limited. Only a few floor models are available at each Hasslis location, and when they're gone for good. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hasslis.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
You know, the world really has gone crazy. So there is this ongoing debate now about, shared revenue, and the Republicans, after years of kind of resisting changing the shared revenue formula, particularly when it comes to Milwaukee, in part because of the irresponsible ways that Milwaukee has spent money over the years. Finally, there is a breakthrough. And Republicans, after working with the mayor and the county executive and people from all over the state, announced this plan that, okay, we are going to change the formula. We're going to send a bunch of money back to Milwaukee. This money, and it goes to other communities as well, but it's really, as much as anything, for the benefit of Milwaukee. It will allow Milwaukee to bail itself out of its pension problem, and it will allow Milwaukee to generate revenue for other sorts of things. Now, one of the conditions is, all right, if voters are going to impose an additional sales tax, you got to vote for it. There has to be a binding referendum. And after years of all these elected officials saying, give us the opportunity to vote for this, give us a binding referendum, now they're afraid that they might not be able to sell the binding referendum. So now it's we don't want this. We don't want a binding referendum. Okay, well, be careful what you wish for. But there are some strings that are attached to this. And I don't think any of these quote-unquote strings are unreasonable. In particular, as a condition of getting all this money sent back from state sales taxes to Milwaukee, one of the conditions is you can't hold the police department hostage. You have to agree that as a condition of getting all this money, you're going to have a floor of like 1,600 and some police officers, with the idea that it's going to increase to 1,700 or some, which is still nowhere near as many as cops as you need. But you have some of the people out there saying, well, this is just terrible. We want local control. Well, I'm all in favor of local control, except when some of the people in localities demonstrate that they are irresponsible and can't be trusted with it. So this is one of the things. How dare the state tell us that we have to hire cops? One of the other conditions, and this is one of my favorite ones, is that, all right, as a condition of getting this money back, you have to agree that there's going to be 25 police officers that are going to be put in schools. Now, if people who've been keeping track at home, it started in 2016 and then took up speed in 2020. You had a number of very, very liberal, politically correct members of the Milwaukee School Board, fueled by some liberal elected politicians, and some students who didn't like the idea that there would be police in the schools. Now, most communities around here have police in the schools, and so they pulled it out. The idea is, well, we don't want the kids to feel like this is a pathway to prison, if they see police officers in the school, which is just an incredibly ridiculous and irresponsible position to take. On top of it, as I've been arguing for quite a while now, just because you don't have school resource officers there on a regular basis doesn't mean the cops aren't in the schools, because if you look at the numbers, cops are getting called to MPS schools every day, sometimes several times a week, to deal with the criminal behavior, the violence, etc. So the rule, as a condition of getting this money back, would say you have to have 25 police officers in the different schools, and they decide which schools got the cops based on the number of police that have to report to the schools anyways. So over the weekend, and starting on Friday, there's a united front. Well, here's the way the Journal-Sentinel describes it. A united front of Milwaukee school board members and community organizations, and these are very, very left-wing community organizations, on Friday denounced a plan from state lawmakers to force MPS to have at least 25 Milwaukee police officers in the school, while the mayor and superintendent have been quiet on the issue. Marva Herndon, newly selected MPS school board president, said Friday the bill would destroy Milwaukee's right to self-govern. She was joined by other board members and community organizations calling for the police school provision to be removed. It clearly has racist overtones. Don't you get tired of playing the race card, of people playing the race card? As Milwaukee has the largest minority population in the state, we will not stand to be forced on this. Okay, it has nothing to do with the race of students. It has to do with the violence in the schools that require police response on a regular basis. But it's easier to play the race card than to deal with this. So anyhow, the position of MPS and some left-wing school organizations is we don't want the police, we don't want officers stationed in the schools where they might be in a position to respond quickly if there's a school shooting, intervene early on if there's a fight. No, we'd rather have the criminal activity, go on and then have to make the police call and see what happens. So that's the attitude, because not having police in schools hasn't eliminated any crime at all. But that's the position MPS takes. Well, here's a different school, and here's what they're doing. University School of Milwaukee. University School of Milwaukee is based in River Hills. It's probably the elite private school in the region. Some people might argue with that, but it is a very, very good school. It is very expensive to attend, although they do have scholarship programs and things like that. But University School of Milwaukee is very, very highly regarded. Here's what they've announced. Security staff, according to the local newspaper, started carrying firearms May 1st as a regular part of their jobs at University School of Milwaukee. All right, the communications director for the school said there are 3 to 5 members of the school's in-house security team who carry guns. All of them are former police department officers who have already been working at the school as unarmed security staff for many years. They said the decision was made by the head of the school after conferring over the past year with members of the school's board of trustees, legal and insurance consultants, security experts, and the local police. In a letter to families, the headmaster said the move was in response to the devastating rise in school shootings nationwide. Through extensive analysis and thorough research, along with strong recommendations from the River Hills Police Department, the unanimous recommendation of our board of directors was to arm a small number of school safety officers. Since the letter was sent out, the headmaster said most of the response has been positive. The staff carrying guns have concealed carry permits, and the guns will be worn underneath their jackets. They've received training, et cetera, et cetera. So University School is saying, okay, we don't have the police here, but what we've got is we have trained security people. We want them to be armed. We want them to be there as a deterrent, and we felt we need to do this in response to the rise of school shootings. The contrast is MPS, where there are calls to schools on a daily basis to deal with problems, criminal behavior, etc. The official MPS response is, how dare you expect us to have police officers, armed or otherwise, in the schools? Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Okay, who's right? If you had a kid in school, would you feel better with the approach that University School has taken, which is we're going to have armed, trained security people, retired police officers? They are going to be on the school premises in an effort to deter school shootings, etc. Or the MPS response, which is, police, we don't need no stinking police in our schools. 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? Will your taxes go up or down in retirement? I'm Tony Drake, founder of Drake & Associates. I believe retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why I'm offering the Retirement Ready Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of my new book, Get Retirement Ready. It'll provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. You'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. To get your toolkit, call or text KIT to 414-404-4994. Get your Retirement Ready Toolkit from Drake & Associates now by calling or texting KIT to 414-404-4994.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Law Financial Group, LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply any level of skill or training.
Hey, boaters!
From fishing to water sports and everyday essentials like anchors and life jackets, along with an incredible selection of hardware, Kendor Marine is a boater's paradise. This is Dave Doro, and our endless selection of boating parts and accessories all but assure you one-stop shopping for all your boating needs. And that's why boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Boaters.
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And if you're a boater and you haven't been here, ask around. And I think some of your boater buddies will tell you you're missing out. Because at Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. And when you get here, you'll know that's no exaggeration. So get in the know, because boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters. Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
CPAP is one option that can be used to keep the throat open at night. It can work. There are other ways of keeping that airway open other than the machine. Another option that most people have never heard of is an oral appliance. An oral appliance is like a retainer that you wear when you're sleeping at night. It's super slim, slides in your mouth, and what it does is it helps to keep your airway open. That's exactly what a CPAP machine does. Most people who are good candidates for a CPAP machine to treat their sleep apnea are also good candidates for an oral appliance. Most of those people never get offered an oral appliance. Advent has decided to change the practice of medicine in this country by offering oral appliances to our patients. And what that means is we are allowing our patients to have the choice of a CPAP machine oral appliance when they have sleep apnea, and that's a big deal.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventNows.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Eight 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. If you're just tuning in, University School of Milwaukee, which is located in River Hills, it's one of the, if not the elite private schools in the state, for sure, maybe in the country. You know, they've just announced a new policy where they have some school security officials who are retired police officers who will be carrying guns on the campus. At least 3 to 5, I think is what they said. They received training, etc. In contrast, over the weekend, Milwaukee Public Schools having an absolute hissy fit. The board is upset. You've got certain left-wing community groups who are upset that as part of the revenue sharing proposal, they would be required to bring school resource officers back into the schools where they have the greatest problems so far. And, oh, how dare you require us to bring police back into these schools? It's really an interesting contrast. Here's one of our texts. Jeff, as a school resource officer for 15 years, now retired, there is absolutely nothing bad at all about having police officers in the school. Obviously, Milwaukee does not need the money as bad as they think. My reaction is to heck with, actually, he uses a different phrase. My reaction is to heck with Milwaukee as a whole regarding revenue sharing if they refuse to deal with this. Jack in Milwaukee. Jack, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, I just wanted to, I also was a resource officer for 25 years. I am now retired. We were the school that had the trial program for when the police officers were first united with MPS. And it worked great. And the main thing was, it isn't that it kept the problems down, but we had immediate police response. And that's what they want to do is when they remove them out of there, what they wanted to do, because there are so many problems at MPS, they don't want everybody to know every single problem. Okay, by having the police in there, okay, you have no choice. You have to give it to the public. But by keeping them with the safety officers in there, you can keep it within the school.
Oh, so the public does, your point is, so the public doesn't really know how bad it is if you don't have the police there, because if the police see the fight or whatever and they issue the citations, then that citation becomes part of the public record.
Let me ask you this. when you drive a public school, if you drive by a public school and you will see a police car out there, do you know why that police car is out there?
I do not. I mean, I assume that there's.
Okay,
I assume,
there you
yeah,
go, right
right.
there.
Okay, interesting. Let me ask you
This has been going on for a year.
Okay, interesting. Let me ask you the other thing, Jack. Besides the immediate response, I've always thought that having a police officer in the school helps humanize, police. You have kids that can interact with a police officer and get to know Officer Jack or whatever, and maybe see police in some different capacity than just when they're getting pulled over for speeding or something like that.
Well, no, I cannot tell you, how many of the kids have come up to me as a safety officer and told me about serious situations such as weapons that are within the school.
Mm-hmm.
And they absolutely refuse to talk to the police. The police are not their friend. They see them coming in, they pick up their parents, they pick up their mothers, they pick up their brothers and sisters. And to them, the police are enemies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. No, right. So, but this is a way. I mean, thanks. But again, this is a way to humanize the police officers because you get to say, okay, well, it's. I mean, I know that particular police officer, but look, I also get it. You've got that immediate response. Interesting theory that one of the ways you keep people from knowing how bad the problems are is if you can kind of keep them all in house. It's like some of the shopping centers around here who, over the years, would discourage retailers from reporting shoplifting because if you call the cops for shoplifting, then there's a police report that's filed, and that police report becomes public, and people can understand how bad it is, and then they can say, okay, well, maybe I don't want to go to shop at X shopping center because there's all this thievery going on. Meanwhile, if you just tell the merchants, look, we don't want the word to get out that shoplifting is as bad as it is here. We're going to just like not tell anybody about it, as if that's going to make the problem go away. Jeff in Milwaukee. Jeff, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good.
You just stole some of my thunder. My original comment was university school has got it going on, and I find it completely ironic that a school that, and I'm assuming, probably has the least amount of problems of having police needed to be called to that school, they're the ones that are smart and taking the initial
right,
the initiative on it. I don't know why MPS is so scared of police officers, and where you stole my thunder is it does develop a relationship with that school liaison police officer. I know it from my daughter from being in Brown Deer, 5 years ago, and they loved that officer, and it was a big help.
Yeah. No, I mean, thanks for that. That is the, that's the real question. And I'd like to have, like a lot of the local reporters, particularly the local newspaper, if you thought it was left-wing before, it's taken over the last several months, a really hard turn to the left. You'd like to have somebody really stand up and say, I've got a serious question. What is your beef? What is the real problem with having police officers in the school? Let's forget about this kind of local control thing, because the real question is, why don't you want cops in the school in the first place? What is the downside to having a police presence on a regular basis in these schools where the cops are getting called on a regular basis anyways? What is the downside of having somebody that's there for, who can respond? And that's it. Then it's like humana. We don't want it to be an armed camp. Okay, that's silly. This is a lot of this left-wing, anti-cop, defund the police nonsense that puts public safety at risk. Cindy in Muskego. Cindy, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi. I just want to say that my kids grew up in West Dallas, went to West Dallas schools in the 70s and 80s. And they had officer-friendly in schools practically all the time, and the kids just loved officer-friendly. They would teach them, safety things, and kids got to feel that officers are there to help them, not to be angry against them or to kill them or hurt them or anything like that.
No, Cindy, you're exactly.
There was nothing wrong with that. Kids love the officer-friendly.
Well, exactly, Cindy, and that's it. And plus, that officer is there in the case that there is that out-of-control fight that breaks out, and then everybody pulls out their cell phones and they're calling their family and stuff and come here, you've at least got an officer who's on the scene who can respond immediately while you're waiting the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes or whatever it takes to get the other officers there to break this up. And if we were having a conversation about, well, okay, it's either police in the schools or no police in the schools, it might be a different thing. But to all the people on the MPS board, look at the numbers. There's already cops that are in the school on a regular basis because crime and misbehavior continues to be out of control. And nobody's come up with a good reason to not have the police in the school. This local control stuff is just a complete and total red herring. And it demonstrates that if you've got a board of directors, for example, whose judgment is so bad that they don't want police in the schools, well, maybe that's a good reason why local control isn't all it's cracked up to be. A lot of stuff coming up on the program. Don't go anywhere. We resume right after the top of the hour news.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we discuss the impact of having a holistic plan and how it brings about a peace of mind in retirement.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, a group of doctors I trusted with my knee surgery. The pain was real and options were important. My experience with each doctor was thorough, the appointments were timely, always close and easy access to the building. My mom felt the same way, I know, when she went there for her physical therapy appointments at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I trusted their surgical team for my knee surgery, and I know they'll take care of you the way they did my mom and me. Make an appointment at orthowisconsin.com.
Are you looking for the perfect restaurant for your next night out? Then make Aria, the acclaimed restaurant inside St. Kate, your next dinner destination. Specializing in artisanal American cuisine, Aria features carefully prepared seasonal entrees along with a robust selection of craft cocktails, wine, and local beer. Join them on Sundays for the restaurant's famous trademark chicken, served family style with sides like mashed potatoes, goat cheese biscuits, and more. Make your plans today to dine at Aria. Learn more and make reservations at aria@stkate.com. That's aria@stkate.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner. JamesImaging.com.
AccuNet Mortgages and Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert back to report even more home buyers paid over the asking price last month, rising to 50% in the 5-county metro area. 3 out of 10 paid $10,000 or more above that list price. The good news is appraised values are generally keeping up with the over-asking offers. Still, the most powerful thing a buyer can do to make their offer the most attractive in a multiple offer situation is to give the seller some appraisal wiggle room. Telling the seller you're willing to pay over the asking price, even if the house appraises lower, sounds scary because most buyers think they have to fill that potential gap with more down payment. But in the vast majority of cases, AccuNet is showing home buyers how they can offer appraisal wiggle room without bringing a nickel more to closing. Appraisal wiggle room is like a good card trick. You need to see it to believe it. So if you're home shopping with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, upgrade today to an AccuNet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Here's a great way to brighten up your Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy a free dinner from the award-winning Fox and Hounds restaurant near Holy Hill. I love the Fox and Hounds. Was just in there recently, had a great dinner. And with unique atmosphere, friendly staff, and free dinner, you'll find it's the best dining value in the state. Enjoy a fabulous steak, the seafood, pasta, big fresh salad, anything on the menu. Your second dinner is free. No gimmicks. It's that easy. You put your seats in the seats, and only half the dinners get paid for. Ice cream drinks and desserts, too. I love the chocolate cake with the ice cream. 100 wines, 20 fine bourbons, a great beer list to accent your dinner. The Fox and Hounds is tucked into the Kettle Moraine Forest. It is magical. Perfect to celebrate a birthday, anniversary, retirement, or just a quiet free dinner with your sweetie. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. The trees are budding, the flowers are blooming. The spring drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest is just beautiful, a must-see. So step away from your kitchen and enjoy a free dinner tonight. FoxandHoundsRestaurant.com.
You've heard about Purple mattresses. Try it before you buy it at Steinhoffel's.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Oh, I get it. You're good at dodging baseballs. Like this.
Throw back to third. It goes over the head of the third baseman Davis and into left field. Taylor will score. Weimer gets to third.
The Brewers take on the Dodgers with coverage starting tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ Milwaukee.
101, we have 48 degrees and rain. Patchy fog, rainy today, cloudy, breezy with a high of 50. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. More details about that triple shooting that left one person dead in Fond du Lac happened last night at the Maplewood Commons near Martin Avenue and East Pioneer Road. NBC 26 reporter Margaret Cahill has more details.
Police this morning released the name of the 20-year-old woman who was killed, Tatiana Zek. An 18-year-old man is in critical but stable condition, and a 49-year-old man is in stable condition. Police are searching for 2 teens they say were involved in the shooting, 17-year-old Antonio Johnston and 14-year-old Paris Larry Jr. Law enforcement is also asking all people who live in the area to check surveillance footage from 6:50 to 8 p.m. last night and alert the police of any suspicious activity.
Police in Allen, Texas have offered few details about the probe into Saturday's mass shooting at a sprawling outlet mall. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
2 of the 8 who died have been identified. 20-year-old Christian LaCour was working as a security guard at the mall, and 27-year-old Aishwarya Thatakonda lived in neighboring Frisco, Texas. She was shopping. Those names were provided not by police or the medical examiner, but by family members.
Mauricio Garcia killed 8 people before he was shot by a police officer. Driver involved in that crash that killed 8 people in front of a homeless shelter in Brownsville, Texas, being held on multiple felonies. Police say he ran a red light Sunday, lost control before slamming into the crowd. The suspect, who has an extensive rap sheet, has been arraigned and could face other charges as the investigation continues. Investigators still working to determine motive and are waiting on tests to reveal if he was under the influence when the crash happened. Police confirmed several migrants from Venezuela were among the victims. Closing arguments underway in a Manhattan courtroom today in the civil rape trial against former President Donald Trump, brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. ABC's Aaron Kotursky outside the courthouse in New York with more on the defendant's final words with this case.
The plaintiff's attorney, Roberta Kaplan, is taking the jury through some of the evidence and trying to put the story together the way E. Jean Carroll sees it. She's juxtaposing, for example, the mistake that Donald Trump made in his videotape deposition when he's shown a photograph of Carroll and confuses her for his second wife, Marla Maples.
A month after extending alcohol sales through the end of the 8th inning, the Brewers are going back to cutting off sales after the 7th inning at American Family Field. Earlier this season, the team had extended through the 8th because of the shortened games caused by Major League Baseball's new pitch clock rules. A spokesman tells MLB.com extending the sale window made little difference in sales. The 7th inning cutoff returns tonight. Sports traffic and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
I want to talk about annuities and variable life insurance policies. And I'm going to come right out and say that I've never been a fan of either. In fact, in over 30 years, I have rarely recommended annuities to clients. And in that same time, I've never recommended a variable life insurance policy. Now, it's always a matter of opinion, and there are 2 sides to every story. I just want to make sure that you've heard both sides for both options. So if you're looking at those types of products, give us a call, because it's prudent to hear all sides. At the very least, we can give you the pros and cons and help you make a good decision. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Outdoor living is great, but it's best when it's at your own home.
Well, there's a company called Outdoor Living Unlimited that will build you a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, all manner of things to enhance outdoor living at your place, even an outdoor kitchen. Get started right away. Contact Outdoor Living Unlimited now. Get your yard project onto Outdoor Living Unlimited's calendar while there's still openings. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Here's a great way to say Happy Mother's Day. Schedule arrangements to keep mom at home. With Miller Mobility, now you can. They'll equip any home to accommodate everything a senior needs. Miller Mobility's at-home solutions include stair lifts, ramps, scooters, lift chairs, bathroom safety, and more. Mike and Val have owned Miller Mobility since 2004. Trust their family to take care of your family. See their huge showroom in Oconomowoc or visit MillerMobility.com.
Sports
After
update.
losing 6 straight games, the Milwaukee Brewers finally found themselves on the winning side of things thanks to some help on a Willy Adames milestone achievement as he knocked in home run 100, and the Brewers take care of the San Francisco Giants by a final score of 7-3 on Sunday afternoon. The Brewers conclude their 6-game road trip going 1-5, and they are back home tonight in Milwaukee to host the Los Angeles Dodgers. That first pitch is all set for 6:40. Freddie Peralta is slated to get the start. Over to the NFL, where the Packers rookies descended upon Green Bay over the weekend for a mini camp to break in their NFL debut. First rounder Lucas Van Ness among the fresh faces, looking to soak it all in and take it one step at a time.
For me, I just want to come in and learn as much as possible about the system and what it means to be a professional.
Next up for Van Ness and company is the organized team activities, which begins on May 22nd. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. No major problems out there right now. 94 westbound from downtown to the zoo, a typical 6-minute drive. The zoo to Highway 16, 10 or 11 minutes. 41 southbound from Highway Q to the zoo interchange, about a 14-minute commute. 43 northbound from the Marquette interchange to Brown Deer Road, 11. And 94 southbound from downtown to Layton Avenue, running about 6 minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Mattress, where top-quality mattresses are priced hundreds less than premium national mattress brands. Found exclusively at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Patchy fog, rainy and cloudy today with a high of only 50. Those clouds linger overnight with a low 45. Then becoming sunny tomorrow with highs ranging from 61 lakeside to 73 inland. Wednesday mostly sunny with highs from 66 to 75. Thursday sunny, highs 68 to 78. Then Friday showers moving in with a high 65 lakeside and 70 inland. Right now Madison we're at 55, Green Bay 52, and Milwaukee 49 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the program. Have you ever heard the phrase cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is a phrase that actually from psychology, and it's the state of having inconsistent thoughts or attitudes. So thoughts that just don't go together. Here's a real-world example of this, and Connie was talking a little bit about it. Last night in Fond du Lac, there was a shooting that occurred at a place called Maplewood Commons. Fond du Lac police responded within minutes of the shooting. It happened around 7 p.m. There were 3 shooting victims, 2 women ages 20 and 18, and a man aged 49. All were taken to hospitals. The 20-year-old woman later died. Okay, so you have 3 people that are shot. 20-year-old is dead. The police, and I'm just looking at the story, they've now identified the shooters. They say the shooters ran away are at large with multiple agencies looking for them. The Fond du Lac Police Department has entered temporary felony warrants for 2 persons of interest involved in the shooting. And they've got their pictures up. I'm looking at the story on Fox 6. Antonio K. Johnston, 17 years old, and Paris E. Larry Jr., 14. So the Fond du Lac police think that the people responsible for this murder and the shooting, it's a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. As I'm looking at the thing that the police put out, do not attempt to apprehend these subjects. All right, so they're like, if you See these people, call the police. Do not attempt to apprehend these suspects. Okay, I understand all that. The suspects are considered armed and dangerous. Do not attempt to apprehend these subjects. They are considered to be armed and dangerous. Okay, we get the idea. By the way, you get the ages? A 17-year-old and a 14-year-old are wanted for the murder and the two shootings. Armed and dangerous. Do not attempt to apprehend these subjects. Okay, that's all well and good. But then I continue with what the police are saying. While the suspects are considered armed and dangerous, officials say there isn't a threat to the area. Wait, this is cognitive dissonance. You've got these two teenagers who they believe murdered somebody, shot two others. They are armed and dangerous. They are on the loose. Do not attempt to apprehend these subjects, but you're saying there isn't a threat to the area. What the heck? I mean, seriously. They then also go on to say they encourage neighbors to lock all doors and windows. So you've got these two kids, teenagers, who are believed to have murdered somebody, shot two other people. They're armed. They're dangerous. Do not attempt to apprehend these subjects. Neighbors, lock all your doors and windows, but there isn't a threat to the area. I mean, okay, that is an example of what we call cognitive dissonance. Two ideas that are just internally inconsistent. Now, I understand the Fond du Lac police don't want to panic people, but here's the bottom line. There's two 17 and a 14-year-old who have shot three people. One is dead. They are armed and dangerous. They are on the lam. So, yeah, it seems to me by definition there is a threat to the area. But you know, that's just me. That's just me. A follow-up on something we talked about last week. A week ago today, there was that example of reckless driving. You will remember outside of Morse Middle School on North 80th Street, essentially between Mill Road and Good Hope Road, there was the situation, five kids in a stolen Kia, 9 o'clock in the morning, driving at a high rate of speed, weaving down the street, and this was captured on video, which really kind of hits home, smashes into the rear of a school bus at a high rate of speed. One of the kids in the stolen car, a 15-year-old, and they're all hanging out the window. The 15-year-old is thrown from the car, and when last I heard, he was still in critical condition with life-threatening injuries in the hospital. The other four people in the car get out and run away, and that was captured on, again, surveillance video as well. They're fleeing. I believe on Thursday, two people, a 15-year-old girl and a 14-year-old girl, were arrested on Thursday. These were two of the four that were running away from the car. They were passengers in the car. On Friday, the suspected driver was taken into custody along with a separate 14-year-old girl. So you've got the 15-year-old who's hanging out of the car. You've got a 14-year-old, 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, driving a stolen car, who drives it into the rear of the school bus and then flees. You've got another 14-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl, and a different 14-year-old girl. And I believe, now that I mention, I think there might have been 6 people total in the car. There's still one more that's at loose. But the driver was a 14-year-old boy driving this stolen car, and now you have all the carnage that this has occurred. Yeah, there's one more suspect that they're looking at, and there haven't been charges filed as of yet. Now, one of the sad things is if they decide to kick this case to juvenile court, you're never going to necessarily know if there have been charges filed. I will tell you this. Under these circumstances, it will be an absolute travesty if there is not an attempt to wave these people into adult court, starting with the 14-year-old driver of the stolen car. If you can drive a stolen car in this fashion, and you got to presume that these kids were involved, at least some of them were involved in stealing the car. I don't think that that's an unfair presumption. How did they get in the car otherwise? 14 years old, joyriding, slams into the rear of the car. One of his 15-year-old buddies is thrown from the car, may or may not live. Then everybody flees. If you don't waive this 14-year-old into adult court, it will be a travesty. If I'm the DA, I'm looking at everything I can possibly do to consider waiving the other people who are passengers in this car, parties to a crime, waiving them into court as well and treating them as adults. If you don't do this and you simply slap them on the wrist and send them back to mom and dad with instructions, well, try to watch them and make sure they don't steal another car and drive in this fashion again, you know it's going to happen. Now, we haven't heard what the decision's going to be, but if they don't try to waive this 14-year-old into adult court, like I say, it will be an absolute miscarriage of justice. Will the DA's office have the guts to do it? Who knows? But the community needs to stand up and say enough is enough. And if you got 14-year-olds that are going to steal cars and 14 and 15-year-olds that are going to drive recklessly, it really is a situation where if you're old enough to do the crime, I think you need to be old enough to do the crime. When we come back, let's talk about what happened in the northwest part of the state the other day. Stick around.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Are you ready to step up to the plate and test your skills? Join Steve every Friday at 10:35 for a rousing round of virtual baseball to win awesome prizes.
Oh, baby.
Steve Scaffidi's Virtual Baseball, presented by Siding Unlimited.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Every Friday at 10:35.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here to tell you about Built Right Furniture's 5th generation mattress sale that ends this Saturday. Shop the most unique selection with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Look, Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. With Built Right's legitimate sale prices, you will get an exceptional value and a great night's sleep. Built Right does the research for you, and their team will help take the time to fit you. Built Right specializes in flippable two-sided mattresses and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, they offer free delivery on mattress-only purchases of $5.99 or more, and they'll remove your old mattress as well. Select model sets include a free mattress pad or heavy-duty bed frame. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association 2023 National Retailer of the Year Award. They're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. For personalized shopping, no problem. Call to book an appointment. Sunday, as always. Sunday, they close down so the staff can be with family. When you get there, do yourself a favor and do me a favor as well, because they love to hear this, and I know a lot of you say it. Tell them that you heard about it from Jeff Wagner on WTMJ and that I'm the one that sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right, 5430 West Layton Avenue in Greenfield. You won't be sorry.
Smooth waters and clear horizons are ahead. The experienced team of advisors at Fox World Travel are ready to uncover your cruising style. Are you sailing off into a Caribbean sunset, taking in the European charm along riverways? Maybe an exotic expedition or Alaskan cruise are on your bucket list. We'll help you cruise like never before with Princess Cruise Lines, Avalon Waterways, Celebrity Cruises, and more. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call a Fox Cruise expert at 866-GO-FOX-GO.
Did you know that the Inflation Reduction Act can save you thousands on energy-efficient updates like new insulation, siding, windows, and more? And these dollars are in addition to Focus on Energy rebates. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling and S&E Insulation. As Department of Energy Century Club Award winners, my team has the proven skills and experience to help you take advantage of these unprecedented incentives. Get started at ALLRITE remodeling.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
In early February, a man shot and killed Milwaukee police officer Peter Jerving after a robbery. Then April 8th, which was about a month ago, you might remember the situation. There was a shooting of 2 police officers in Barron County in the northwest part of the state. On April 8th, Officer Emily Breitenbach of the Shetek Police Department and Officer Hunter Scheel, who's 23 years old, of the Cameron Police Department, pulled over a vehicle driven by a guy from New Auburn after they received a report of concerning behavior. He killed them. You will remember that story. So at the time, that made 3 law enforcement officers who were killed in the line of duty. It has happened again, exactly 1 month after the murders of the two police officers, we now have another murder. This is in neighboring, by that I mean neighboring to Barron County, St. Croix County. Saturday night, May 6th, what happened is around 6 p.m., a deputy, it's just a horrible story. A deputy finds a suspected drunk driver in a ditch. The driver was identified as a guy named Jeremiah Johnson. Apparently, people had stopped by the scene to try to help. Katie Lysing, 29-year-old deputy from St. Croix County. She was a sheriff's deputy who had been with St. Croix since 2022. Before that, she'd worked in a sheriff's office in South Dakota. So there's people that are gathered. There's the car in the ditch. They think the guy is drunk. She shows up, and she asks the guy who's in the ditch to perform field sobriety testing. According to reports, he was evasive to her requests. So after about 8 minutes of talking back and forth, apparently he pulls out a handgun and shoots her. She fired at him 3 times after she was shot, but none of the shots hit him. He then flees into a wooded area. Those who had gathered together to try to help the guy who was in the ditch in the first place tried to save Deputy Lysing's life. She ultimately died from her injuries at the hospital. The guy who shot her flees into the woods and subsequently, shoots himself, kills himself. They find the gun next to his body. But here you have the 4th law enforcement officer in essentially, we're early May, so we're 4+ months into the year. 4 Wisconsin law enforcement officers have lost their lives. And for people who think that, well, the danger that you have is exclusively in urban areas. And believe me, there's a lot of danger that comes with being a police officer in an urban area. You work for the Milwaukee Police Department, and the Lord knows, what kind of call you're going to get to respond to, what kind of shooting thing that's out there. But 3 of the 4 deaths of police officers this year have been in rural areas, and they've been in connection with what we would typically consider to be the phrase, quote unquote, air quotes, if you're watching me on our live stream, routine traffic stops, which has always demonstrated to me why there really is no such thing as a routine traffic stop, because when you show up, in this case, you've got a car that's in the ditch and you think the guy might be drunk, you don't anticipate that the drunk driver is going to pull out a gun and shoot you. When you go to pull somebody over because there's an the tag on the license plate's expired, or there's no tag, or there's no rear lights or whatever, you don't expect that this is going to turn into a shooting instance. But sometimes it does. So you have this this police officer who, 32-year-old police officer who ends up, dead. In just, again, one of these senseless things. There's all sorts of witnesses there. You just show up. There's a car in the ditch. You think that the guy might be drunk. And after a handful of minutes, he pulls out a gun and he shoots her. And then ends up killing himself. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Between the disrespect that is shown to officers on a regular basis. We talked about that in the first part of this program, where the police officers try to break up a fight and break up this out-of-control mob at the Cinco de Mayo thing in Milwaukee on Friday, and the response of people is to stand by and watch the police officers get stuff thrown at them or to throw stuff at police officers. Between the lack of respect that's shown, between the impulse control of fruit flies that so many have on the street, and the general let's defund the police movement, the people out there who believe the cops are an occupying force, let's get them out of the schools, let's get them out of our neighborhoods, we don't need more police. Between all that and the ever-present and the willingness of people to use more and more violence against police officers, 4 shootings already this year. 855-616-1620. Can you imagine why anybody would want to be a police officer? And if you have kids who are thinking about going into law enforcement, does this make you think twice about their choices? If you have family members who are in law enforcement, does this make you think twice about their choices? I said this rhetorically a little while ago, and I got kind of a snarky text. Well, they're very highly paid. You can make tens of thousands. You can make $75,000 to start, and you get these great insurance benefits and all. Why wouldn't anybody take it? Well, you wouldn't take it because, all right, for most of us, we have good days and bad days, but our bad days don't involve some clown shooting us. 855-616-1620. Should this type of stuff make people rethink careers in law enforcement? And where is the next generation of cops going to come from? We discuss in a moment.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:30 for Matzik's Morning Minute. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds.
Willie to left and deep. Hey, get up, get way out of here and gone for Willie Adames.
Mondays and Fridays at 8:30 on Wisconsin's Morning News.
Breaking news out of Green Bay, where the Packers and Jordan Love have agreed on a one-year contract extension.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Differentiation Officer Brian Wickert reminding home shoppers that working with AccuNet is different and better than working with your bank. Most bank pre-approvals state they've only verified the potential home buyer's credit, but not their income or money for down payment. To us, that's just crazy. AccuNet's rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval tells the seller we've checked out all three aspects of your financial health, and that we'll pay $2,000 if our pre-approval is faulty. Banks don't do that, but they do have a lot of overhead with all their vice presidents and fancy branches. We keep overhead low, which means lower rates and closing costs that are typically $1,000 to $3,000 lower than banks. Most importantly, our loan consultants can show you and your agent how to improve your financing and appraisal contingencies so your offer has the best chance of winning in a multiple offer situation. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Click on the blue button today for your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You ever ask yourself the question, what do I want to be known for? Do you know the answer? Are you in the right place to realize those aspirations? If not, LAK's Career Fit program can get you there. They'll work with you to create a roadmap to get you on a trajectory toward career fulfillment and renewed meaning in life, so you can truly discover what you were meant to do. Find out more about Career Fit. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group, discover your human advantage.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Here's a text. Jeff, we just lowered the flag at our police department for that deputy. Very, very sad. Sooner rather than later, I fear the people in society are going to figure out what it's like to not have any law enforcement and or any law and order. Quality of life in the suburbs and in the cities, as we are seeing already, is going to be very, very bad. Jeff, I have friends as well as a godson nephew that's in law enforcement. Of course it concerns me. Why would you want to do this? I'm very thankful that we have officers that do stand up and do the job. Jeff, to your snarky texter, I hate to tell him, but $75,000 a year is really not all that much nowadays. I'm a union steam fitter, and anybody in the trades can make $75,000 a year, and I will guarantee we have better insurance than the police officers do. What's more important is, and this is true for most of us. You go to work, like I say, you have good days, you have bad days. Maybe your boss praises you, maybe your boss yells at you, but a bad day for a police officer is you pull over or you stop when you find somebody who's in the ditch, you think they're drunk, and they pull out a gun and they shoot you. I mean, that's it. Jeff, this is a real concern for society. With crime at an all-time high and the perils that today's law enforcement face, we are headed into a dangerous situation. We can barely fill jobs in offices at restaurants. Who thinks people will willingly go into an extremely dangerous profession such as police work? Jeff, small town, big city, no way, not worth the stress. I deal with people every day, and I know how I get treated. Got to be 100 times worse if you're looking at law enforcement. Jeff, you should look at the community, at the commentary on the Reddit sub about the procession for the St. Croix officer. Saddening. This is how the young liberal generation thinks. No, I just... One of my policies is I try not to read comments that are on social media because I find that you can feel yourself losing IQ. And I have no doubt that there's people out there that, want to say all sorts of uncharitable things. And yet a lot of those people would probably be the first ones wondering, where are the police when something bad happens to them? WTMJ Breaking News Time is 1:31 p.m. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. Grafton police investigating a bomb threat at the Meyer grocery store on Port Washington Road today. According to an alert from the police department, they're asking people to stay clear of the area until they give an all clear. And they've evacuated the building as a precaution. No traffic allowed into the parking lot right now. A month after extending alcohol sales through the end of the 8th inning, the Brewers are going back to cutting off sales after the 7th at American Family Field. Earlier this season, the team had extended through the 8th because of the shortened games caused by the new pitch clock rules. A spokesman telling WTMJ.com that extending the sale window actually made little difference in sales, so the cutoff returns at tonight's game. And a man from Kenosha drowns while trying to save his brother's life. The Kenosha County Sheriff's Office says he jumped into the Pike River on Sunday afternoon, trying to help his brother who was struggling to swim as they pulled his brother ashore. He went under and did not resurface, and his body was found about an hour later. Time for news about your money. It is the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 42 points, just a little bit under. The S&P at 500 both just a little bit up as well. The S&P is up a little over 2.5 points, and the NASDAQ is up 11. Get on track with the investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We got a crash on 94 westbound right at 4394 northbound. This is in the Marquette interchange. Looks like it's causing some backups there right at the Marquette because it is blocking the left lane. That reported just about 10 minutes ago. We're also seeing a little bit of some slowdowns on 894. Just a minute slower, but from the Hale to the Mitchell, it'll take you 7 minutes. People driving slower there, and with the roads slick right now, it's a good time to drive safely.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Patchy fog today. It's rainy and cloudy, a high of 50. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a low of 45. Becoming sunny tomorrow, though, a high of 61 at the lake, up to 73 degrees inland. Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high of 66, 75 inland. Thursday, mostly sunny. Temperatures stay around the same, 68 at the lake and up to 78 inland. Friday, showers and a high of 65. In Janesville, it's 55. In Mequon, it's 48. In Milwaukee, it's 48 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1:33.
Okay, Wyatt, just check my emails. And we're constantly told here to be very careful about clicking on different emails and things like that because we don't want to infect the whole community and things like that. So yeah. I get an email. It says computer login. Michael Diaz from Help Desk at Good Karma Brands. Good day. It's to me. This is Michael from Good Karma Broadcasting, LLC Help Desk.
That's how we're not called Good Karma Broadcasting anymore. That's the first red flag.
And we don't have a help desk, as far as I know, at least. But I'm setting up your new computer. I, by the way, don't have a new computer. However, I need your login information in order to finish setting this up. Can I have your login information? Let's see. This is one when we go through like all these training sessions, it would be, how do you respond to this particular one? Do you hit reply and say, absolutely, here's my password?
Yeah, that's a little bit more blatant than I feel like it usually is. It's a lot more tricky now sometimes with the way people try to get your information. They'll ask for a code or something. But
so what you're saying is this is an easy one.
Yeah,
this is an easy one.
They send us sometimes some fake ones to see if we're on the top of our game. I think this one's a real one, and this person's just not very good at scamming.
Okay, well, one way or the other, real one or fake one to see if I've caught on to this. Michael Diaz from Help Desk You're not getting my information. This is one. Now, okay, this I got to be careful. Normally, I just delete these, but sometimes we're supposed to like pass this on to administrators, right?
Got to report it for phishing with a PH, like the band.
Okay, I got to figure out how to do that. How do I click on? I'll figure out how to do that.
I can show you that in the break.
Okay, you can show me that because I don't. Right. The last thing I want to do is okay. So let me see more actions. Oh, I got it. More actions. And then fish alert, that is what I would hit? Okay, more action. All right, got it. Okay, so you agree this is not one that we want to click on.
Yeah, that's a little suspicious.
Okay, got it. See, I'm an old dog, but I can learn new tricks. Hey, when we come back, all right, you're a sanctuary city. What did you think was going to happen? Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
When I came up with this half-combumbled idea of opening a furniture store in Milwaukee, I still think you're crazy, but well.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Our parents were hesitantly positive for us, but that's just who they were. But my college professors, I was quitting college to start this, and they were, oh, absolutely, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. I had a girlfriend told me not to do it. We were originally going to have a partner.
He backed out.
He backed out. Actually, two partners backed out.
Yeah.
And actually, it was good that everybody else backed out. Yeah. Because it worked better this way.
But I guess we kind of looked at it as what's the worst that could happen? And honestly, what's the worst that could happen?
Yes.
We'd have been in debt and we'd owed a lot of money back.
Yes.
So we just had to work that off somewhere and then...
And it wouldn't have been that much money.
No.
We didn't have that much money and nobody borrowed us any, so...
Well, that's true. And at 19, you got the time to make some mistakes at that age, you know?
Yes.
So what if I had to work 3 years to pay off all that debt before I made any money again for myself and then go forward from there again, you know?
Okay.
PennyMustard.com.
All Brewers games are on sale now. Next up, the Crew battles the Royals for a weekend duel. Friday, May 12th through Sunday, the 14th. Fulfill your Jedi destiny at Star Wars Night on Saturday, the 13th, and receive a Luke Skywalker bobblehead with purchase of a special ticket package. Plus, take home a one-of-a-kind Brewers wristlet for 10,000 moms on Mother's Day. Sunday, May 14th. Presented by American Family Insurance. Get your seats today at brewers.com/promotions.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
It has been 3.5 months since 4, I believe it was men, robbed an armored car. You remember 8:15, January 26th, so 3.5 months ago. 4 guys stuck up an armored car, 79th and Capitol, and ended up getting away with well over $100,000. The armored truck was parked at North Shore Bank, and then what happened is they robbed it and got away with it. I have always made the point that, you should not rob anything, but trying to rob banks for a variety of reasons and trying to rob armored cars is particularly stupid. Because it's a federal offense, so you've immediately got not only local authorities, but also you've got the federal government looking for you. Armored cars and banks are typically, a lot of times there's armed guards in there, there's cameras, and there's all sorts of stuff. But the 4 guys that knocked over the armored car in January, they have, at least up to this point, not been apprehended, it's amazing. And I've told these stories. I mean, they're going to get caught at some point in time because people know who they are. My guess is the FBI knows who they are as well, and it's looking at them. And pretty soon they're going to spend this money, and then they're going to need to rob something else, and that's when they're typically going to be caught. But here's another reason not to rob armored cars. There was, Friday, 5:00 p.m., there was another attempt to rob an armored car outside of another North Shore Bank. This happened just before 5 p.m. on Friday. Investigators say that a 47-year-old Kenosha man shot a 36-year-old armored car driver as he attempted to rob the armored truck. A separate guard then fired at the robbery suspect, who was struck and died from injuries at the scene. The 36-year-old guard initially shot was taken to the hospital. Thankfully, he is expected to survive. So this is the second time in the last 3.5 months that people have tried to rob an armored car outside of a North Shore bank. In this case, what's happened is the would-be robber tries to rob the armored car. It shoots one of the guards. The other guard returns fire and kills him. 2 handguns and 1 shotgun were recorded at the scene. Case is going to the district attorney's office for charges. But the bottom line here is that it's another reason not to try to rob armored cars, because you know what? You could very well end up dead. And that's precisely what happened in this particular situation. I don't know if and they're not saying whether there's any connection between these 2 robberies, but for the fact that it was an armored car, at a North Shore bank. So I don't know that there's any link to the people that tried to rob the armored car on Friday versus the people, 3.5 months ago. They haven't said anything like that yet. But the bottom line of all this is just don't rob things. And in particular, don't rob banks, don't rob armored cars. Bad things will happen. All right, speaking of bad things happening, this week, the COVID era restrictions on crossing the border are about to expire. Now, I'm going to try to make this. I'm going to try to simplify this for the sake of our discussion. Right now, under the law, if you come into this country illegally and you say, I'm seeking asylum, the way the law works is you have to be conditionally admitted into the country while your asylum request is processed. Well, the problem is you've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are streaming illegally into this country on an almost weekly basis, if not daily basis, and they all say, I want asylum. And the problem is there's not enough immigration courts, there's not enough immigration judges. They can't, it's not like you can give these people who want asylum a hearing in 2 or 3 days. The hearings are months and months away, if then. So we don't have a spot to detain people. The vast majority of people who come into this country illegally seeking asylum do not qualify for asylum. They're not going to be granted asylum. But the fact that they request asylum essentially stops them from being able to be deported under the law. So what happens is they're given a date. Okay, this is your date for your asylum hearing. It's now May of 2023, January of 2024. Okay, well, so then they're just essentially released into the country and they disappear. And they, I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people just never come back. You just ask for asylum, and that's kind of like a get into this country free card. And then they just, again, disappear. We can never track them down. Now, as part of Trump-era COVID proceedings, we put in an emergency stopgap to that essentially said, if you're coming in and you're claiming asylum, what we're going to do is we're going to immediately send you back across the border. And the argument was, hey, we've got fears that people who are coming into this country might be spreading COVID, et cetera, so we're going to send them back. That is about to expire this week. And the end of, I'm looking at one of the stories right now, Title 42 pandemic expulsions. They estimate right now that there are 10 to 12,000 migrants in Juarez right now waiting until Title 42 expires later this week to immediately pour into this country demanding asylum, and then, again, being given, they can't be processed, they're going to be given dates, and they're just going to kind of disappear into the country. The estimates are that's, okay, so this is what's going to happen. You have 10 to 12,000 immediately coming in, and there will be thousands of more a week. Even the Biden administration understands that it's going to be a huge, huge crisis. And it's a particular crisis for these communities along the border, El Paso, Brownsville, whatever, who don't have the resources to deal with thousands and thousands and thousands of people suddenly streaming into their community. Imagine Kenosha, Wisconsin. And imagine if instead on the Illinois border, Kenosha, Wisconsin was Kenosha, Texas, and Kenosha was on the border. And suddenly you have 10 to 12,000 people immediately streaming in and saying, okay, we want asylum, and we want, now you've got to take care of us. We want to be fed. We want to be housed. We want to have some sort of health care. It would overwhelm local governments. And it is, in fact, overwhelming these governments. So what's happened is a number of these communities, with the blessing of the governor of Texas, have started taking, not all, but some of the people who've come in illegally and are going to stay here, and they've started shipping them to various sanctuary cities. You know, these are the places like Chicago, who, when Donald Trump was the president, thought, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to declare ourselves to be a sanctuary city, and we're not going to cooperate with ICE, immigration that is. We're going to say we're going to extend all sorts of benefits to anybody who wants to come into this country illegally, et cetera, et cetera. And that's, for example, what Chicago did. Well, what they're doing now in Texas is they're saying, okay, this is what you wanted. Fine, you're a sanctuary city. So here, we're going to take some, certainly not all, but we're going to take some of the people that are coming in illegally, and we're going to send them up to Chicago. New York City, you declared yourself to be a sanctuary city. Fine, we're going to send, I don't know, number of people that are coming in illegally. We're going to bus some of them up to you and let you end up dealing with them. And now you've got the mayor of New York, you've got the outgoing mayor of Chicago and the incoming mayor of Chicago who are going, no, we can't deal with this. Texas, don't send us these people. El Paso, don't send us these people. Brownsville, don't send us a portion. It's a national problem. It's your local problem. But even though we're sanctuary cities, we don't want any responsibility for dealing with this. Okay, our number, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. It was real interesting because I remember this conversation. We're going to be sanctuary cities. We're not going to deport people. We're going to extend benefits. We're not going to prosecute people. Okay, well, if you're a sanctuary city, all right, shouldn't you then be expected to do your share in dealing with the people who are pouring into this country? Nobody is saying that El Paso sends everybody up there, but Chicago, you said you wanted people who were coming in illegally. You wanted to be able to extend these humanitarian benefits. Well, maybe you should be careful what you wish for. Do you fault the governor of Texas for shifting portions of the problems to some of these cities up north who said, hey, we're better than you. We're sanctuary cities. How dare you discriminate against people who are coming in the country illegally? Seems to me this might be a question and an issue of be careful what you wish for. 855-616-1620. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And should the governor of Texas, for example, stop spreading the problem around, or should this exclusively be a problem confined to border cities around in Texas or in Arizona? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/moving forward.
Do you know what brand sells the most work shoes in America? Skechers. Why? Skechers has the best looking safety toe and slip resistant shoes around. They've got superior quality and simply incredible prices, but many people get them just for the style. So you can enjoy tough, steel-toed protection and slip-resistant soles anywhere, even if you don't need them for work. And since they're Skechers, you know they're going to be comfortable with Skechers' exclusive air-cooled memory foam. Find your new pair of Skechers safety toe and slip-resistant work shoes at a Skechers store, at Skechers.com, or wherever work shoes are sold.
You might not think of Burkhart for corporate uniforms and other business apparel, but you should, because a lot of businesses do. And it's because most times we're cheaper than our competition on the same high-quality apparel choices that the other guys offer, plus Nike and Under Armour that the other guys can't get. So for businesses and corporations, if you want your employees to look great while representing your brand, and you want to get your apparel for less, you can't beat Burkhart, your business uniform specialists.
You can't beat Burkhart.
The task of lining up your group apparel sales can take up a lot of your time, but Burkhart Sporting Goods can make it so easy. The group sale web stores that we provide our customers at no charge to line up their team or corporate apparel sales is a simple way of gathering all the info you need. It's easy to work, easy to understand, and with it, you'll have access to nearly limitless options. This is Brian Burkhart with Burkhart Sporting Goods. Give us a call and let us show you just how easy group apparel sales can be.
You can't beat Burkhart.
Grandview Homes will buy your home as is today. It doesn't matter what condition it's in. We'll give you a fair cash offer in 48 hours, and you have nothing to lose to try us out. With Grandview, you don't need to fix your home to sell it. Call or visit grandviewhomes.com.
Live life to the fullest. Hey, you hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. QC Kinetics gives people all around Milwaukee their quality of life by providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain, and not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. So where is your joint pain? In your knees, your hips, shoulders, maybe your back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. No surgery, no downtime, no steroids or harmful drugs. And patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Well, finally being able to exercise or walk the dog, maybe enjoying time with the family, or just working your job. Whatever it is, don't wait another day. Call QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Give them a call. 414-285-3474.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
There was a point in time where it was fashionable to be a sanctuary city. The mayor of Chicago, the outgoing mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, we're a sanctuary city. We want people to come in. We're not going to cooperate with immigration. We're not going to report them. We're going to extend all these benefits. Okay, fine. New York, the same way. So it's easy to say that when you don't have any sort of skin in the game. Well, now that, and it's May 11th, that these restrictions on immigration and requests for asylum, that expires. And as bad as it has been, it's going to get exponentially worse. And so now you've got New York, you've got Chicago. They're saying, oh, don't send us these people. You know, you deal with it. You deal with the problem in Texas. So in essence, they're now reap, what would be the phrase? You are reaping what you've sowed. All right, you were a sanctuary city, but now the governor of Texas is about ready to start resuming busing people who come into this country illegally, request asylum, and cannot be removed in the immediate near future. And he's sending them up to Chicago. He's sending them up to New York. All right, 855-616-1620. I just think you're reaping what you've sown. Mike in Illinois. Mike, your neck of the woods. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
Good. What do you think?
Yeah, I've listened to Lori Lightfoot bitch about it now for a little while. You know, these towns, these border towns in Arizona, Texas, they've been dealing with this for decades.
Right.
And Chicago and New York get a little taste of it, and they're crying like children. You know, they said we're sanctuary cities. Well, let them put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, Mike, that's exactly it. Now, Chicago, I think since this process started, that the numbers I saw is there's like 8,000. Okay, which is a lot, but it's a fraction. I mean, that's the number of people that are pouring, across the border into some of these communities on a weekly basis. And this idea that, okay, it's your problem, Texas. Well, all right. I mean, this is actually it's what happens when you have some of these progressives out there who have this holier than thou sort of attitude on immigration. Well, okay, now you have to confront the consequences of some of your behavior. And it's one thing if, okay, we're not going to cooperate with immigration when we've got a couple hundred people, but now we've got thousands. Well, okay, maybe what you need to do is you need to pick up the phone and you need to call President Biden. You need to say, hey, we need to get better control of the border, as opposed to simply saying, all right, immigration is a local problem. The influx of people coming into the country illegally and requesting asylum, that's a problem that faces the country, but it's also a problem that faces Brownsville or El Paso, Texas. Well, no, it's a problem that confronts the entire country. And if you're going to be mouthy and lip off about, okay, we're better than you and we want this, all right, well, you got to deal with, I think, some of the consequences of your decisions. Charlie in Germantown. Charlie, you're on WTMJ.
Jeff, good afternoon.
Hi, Charlie.
I think that the White House has a whole lot of spare bedrooms, so why don't we ship a bunch of these immigrants up to the White House and let Joe tuck them in at night? I mean, I'm talking stupid, but that's just how stupid this whole program is.
Well,
thank you for your time.
Thanks, Charlie. Well, or Delaware. I don't think Joe spends his weekends in Delaware. I mean, let's send places to Delaware. All these places that want to be sanctuary cities. Look, I understand this is a problem, and I'm not trying to be flip about it, but it's really, really easy for a lot of these large urban areas to have this holier-than-thou sort of attitude and approach to this. We need to have, we need to be tolerant of these people who are coming across the country, into our country, looking for a better life. Okay, but we don't want to have to deal with this problem. You deal with it, Texas. You deal with it, Arizona. Don't expect us to be part of the problem. Well, nuts to that. I mean, it is a national problem, and it seems to me it's something everybody should be sharing. And candidly, if more communities had skin in the game, I think there'd be less of this sanctuary city stuff and this self-righteousness, and that's what you're seeing happen. Now New York and Chicago are suffering the consequences of some of their decision-making, and it's tough for me to be too sympathetic. Back with more in just a couple minutes.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
All the glitz and glamour headed our way, and we've rolled out the red carpet just for them.
And a chopper up the third baseline, charging is Anderson. Bare hand throw across his body. Oh my goodness, Brian Anderson.
It's the Brewers and the Dodgers. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05.
Backhanded by Adames. Throw, one out to first, in time. Oh, what a play by Adames.
We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With spring in the air, a young man's fancy turns to ceiling fans. And BBC gets all the best brands, such as Minka Air, Fanimation, Quorum, and many, many more. With uplights, downlights, no lights, ceiling huggers, and remotes. All are lifetime warranted. In our huge showroom, you'll find the top brands of lights and fans at the lowest prices. I guarantee it. Our expert lighting staff is always here to assist you. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids. BBC is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near the Potawatomi Casino. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 10 to 4. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert back to report even more home buyers paid over the asking price last month, rising to 50% in the 5-county metro area. 3 out of 10 paid $10,000 or more above that list price. The good news is appraised values are generally keeping up with the over-asking offers. Still, the most powerful thing a buyer can do to make their offer the most attractive in a multiple offer situation is to give the seller some appraisal wiggle room. Telling the seller you're willing to pay over the asking price, even even if the house appraises lower, sounds scary because most buyers think they have to fill that potential gap with more down payment. But in the vast majority of cases, AccuNet is showing home buyers how they can offer appraisal wiggle room without bringing a nickel more to closing. Appraisal wiggle room is like a good card trick. You need to see it to believe it. So if you're home shopping with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, upgrade today to an AccuNet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's Murphy's Law, right? Put an AC guru from Team Austin up against Murphy's Law, and smart money is on us. Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And when we take your air conditioner apart, and, just so you know, we will, our guru has the opportunity to see exactly where the problems are, or could develop in the future. It's not a rag snap in safety inspection and get down the road kind of a deal. Nope, we're coming at Murphy with torches blazing. By the time we're done, your AC isn't just reassembled, it's returned to factory fresh conditions and guaranteed against breakdowns all summer long. A machine that'll save energy dollars, not gobble them up. We're going to leave it a better running, more reliable version of itself. And if we find a cause for concern or future breakdown, let me coin a phrase. If we see something, we'll say something. Team Austin is here to help you win the war against summer heat. So back off, Murphy. Book your AC tune-up now and get a jump on the heat. Go to teamaustin.com.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Oh, I get it. They're good at dodging baseballs. Like this.
Throw back to third. It goes over the head of the third baseman Davis and into left field. Taylor will score. Weimer gets to third.
The Brewers take on the Dodgers with coverage starting tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it's 47 degrees, patchy fog, rainy and breezy today, a high of 50. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. More details about a triple shooting that left one person dead in Fond du Lac. It happened Saturday evening at the Maplewood Commons near Martin Avenue and East Pioneer Road. NBC 26 reporter Margaret Cahill has more details.
Police this morning released the name of the 20-year-old woman who was killed, Tatiana Zek. An 18-year-old man is in critical but stable condition, and a 49-year-old man is in stable condition. Police are searching for two teens they say were involved in the shooting, 17-year-old Antonio Johnston and 14-year-old Paris Larry Jr. Law enforcement is also asking all people who live in the area to check surveillance footage from 6:50 to 8 p.m. last night and alert the police of any suspicious activity.
We'll bring you any updates on this ongoing story as we get them. A month after extending alcohol sales through the end of the 8th inning, the Brewers are going back to cutting off sales after the 7th at American Family Field. Earlier this season, they decided to extend through the 8th because of shortened games caused by MLB's new pitch clock rules. A spokesman, however, telling MLB.com that extending the sale window made little difference in sales. So the 7th inning cutoff returns with tonight's game. The White House today announcing an expanded airline customer service dashboard, which they say will provide guidance to air travelers who are inconvenienced by delayed or canceled flights. President Joe Biden.
If it's the airline's fault and your flight was canceled or delayed, you can check the dashboard to see how the airline should be compensating you, like rebooking a flight or accommodating your hotel room and your meals.
The administration also wants airlines to expand their compensation to customers after cancellations and delays. And a judge in Dane County says he plans to order the State Elections Commission to reconsider a complaint filed against Republican electors who plan to cast electoral ballots for former President Donald Trump in 2020. DOJ concluding that Republicans were trying legitimately to preserve Trump's legal standing as courts were deciding if he or Joe Biden won that election. The Elections Commission in Wisconsin had ruled the same. But since one of the commissioners, Bob Spindell, was among those fake electors, the judge is asking for the commission to rule again, but without Spindell's participation. Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:03.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
The next time you run a faucet, think Isaiah Rogers. And while you savor that hot morning shower, give a shout out to Edwin Rood. And the trusty toilet? Well, that was conceived by the great Thomas Crapper. Yes, that's his real name. Here at Mr. Holland's Home Services, we celebrate the plumbing legends of the past and perpetually plan for the future. Our proficient plumbing prodigies stay ahead of the pack with the latest innovative innovations. From drippy faucets and clogged drains to faulty sump pumps and money and space-saving tankless water heaters, Mr. Holland's crew brings Hall of Fame service to you. Join us in a 21 flush salute to the plumbing pioneers of the past, including Sir Hugh Dalrymple, who invented hollow pipe drainage, and whose name is also fun to say, but not as much fun as Thomas Crapper. 866-992-1717, or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If you're ready for history-making service, we can help.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. Put it simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle until I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
The Packers wrap up a two-day rookie minicamp in Green Bay with organized team activities scheduled to begin on May 22nd. Rookies getting their first taste of the Packers playbook. Head coach Matt LaFleur.
It's only 2 days, so these guys are going to have a lot of work in front of them. Certainly they've only seen just a very small portion of our playbook.
The NFL schedule is expected to be released on May 11th. Brewers back home after a 1-5 road trip. They'll take on the Dodgers tonight in Game 1 of a 3-game series. Hear the game on 620 WTMJ with coverage beginning at 6:05. And 2 games on the NBA playoff scoreboard tonight, including the Lakers and Golden State Warriors from Los Angeles. Lakers own a 2-1 series lead. Greg Mansick, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We've still got that crash on 94 westbound in the Marquette interchange blocking the left lane. It is causing some backups on 94 westbound. We're seeing that start to have an effect there. It's just right as you get onto the freeway headed west, so once you get past that, it's mostly good, but at the Marquette interchange, we're definitely seeing some backups.
I'm Brett Matschke, and you're due for service.
Rich Lawns Tire and Service Centers. 5 locations and all easy to find. Visit richlawns.com when you're due for service.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Rainy, cloudy, and breezy today, a high of 50. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 45. Tuesday, becoming sunny, a high of 61. Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high of 66 at the lake, up to 75 degrees inland. Mostly sunny skies continue on Thursday, 68 at the lake, 78 inland. And on Friday, showers are back, a high of 65. Right now in Madison, it is 55. In Green Bay, it's 52. In Waukesha, it's 49, and in Milwaukee, it is 47 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News, time 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at The Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Wyatt, you want to take a guess before you leave and go back to the newsroom? Here is my question. What would you guess? I've got the numbers from March. What would you guess is the average price of a new car in the United States in March? If you had to take a guess. Average price.
$22,000.
Wyatt says $22,000. Producer Charlie, let you play in this. Would you like to take a guess? March of 2023, the average price of a new car in the United States?
I would say $32,000.
$22,32. You guys are not only are you both wrong, neither one of you, with all due respect, is even close. Here's the numbers. The average price of a new car in the United States in March, $48,008. Now, that's average. So, I mean, half are more expensive, half are less expensive. $48,000. You're looking at me blankly.
That's a lot of money.
Well, yeah, that's the point of where we're going. And that's up, by the way, that's up 30% from March of 2020. So kind of doing the math, that would have been, if I was asking you that question 3 years ago, 13 grand, Charlie, you would kind of be in the ballpark, but it's up 30% over the last 3 years. On top of that, it's interest rates have gone up dramatically. It used to be, if you financed a car or tried to finance a car in March of 2020, you could probably get an interest rate even back then of 1%, 2%, something like that. Now, you're talking about interest rates of 5%, 6%, maybe even more, depending on what you're going to buy. I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend who sells cars for a living, and they were saying, for the cost of cars together with the interest rates that are being charged are just pricing people out of this. And there's a story, what got me thinking about this is there's a story in the Washington Post. The headline is, "New cars, once part of the American dream, now are out of reach for many." Higher interest rates have hit as automakers double down on pricier models. More about that in just a second. The average price for a new car hit $48,008 in March. Juan David Ramirez knows that his 2012 Nissan Juke SL is on its last legs, but buying a new car in the Orlando area these days reminds him of car buying in his home country of Colombia, where only the wealthy can afford new cars. Ramirez, 33, and his wife really want a new small SUV with a little space for camping and paddleboarding gear. But despite good jobs in finance and business contracting, the couple's monthly loan payment would run around $700 for the $35,000 models they're looking at before dealer markups. So they plan to patch up the Nissan, which is paid off. He blames the manufacturers and dealers for charging so much for cars. Well, I mean, it's a lot of things that are going on. It's the rise in interest rates, which, are beyond the control of the dealers. But, the financing, you can't get 1% and 2% financing anymore. You're talking 5%, 6% financing, whatever that would be, which, just like if you go to buy a home, dramatically increases the costs of buying cars. And some people might say, gee, buying one of these high-end cars costs more than I paid for my home decades ago. So you've got that. In addition, what's happened is because of the shortages during the pandemic, and the problems with getting parts and chips and things like that, a lot of the automakers have concentrated on trying to increase their profit margins. So they've been making more of the pricier cars where there's more of a profit margin built in. So like if you make the $60,000 car with all these bells and whistles that have a higher markup than making the $30,000 car with fewer bells and whistles. So there's a limited amount of chips or parts or whatever, so they're making the pricier models where they can make more money. So you've got interest rates, you've got those shortages that are going on, but the bottom line is, the average car in March, $48,000. Now, it always used to be that, and of course, one of the other things that is going on, and I know some people don't want to hear about this, but because of the government's push towards EVs, a number of these automakers are taking B as in billions of dollars and using it to try to, in anticipation of producing more electric vehicles, a few years from now, they're switching more and more, and they're putting more and more dollars into like research on these electric vehicles, which means the part of gas vehicles, the prices on those have to go up to cover for the quote-unquote money that they're investing in the electric vehicles. Interestingly, to that point, USA Today says that March of this year, 20% of new vehicle shoppers said that they were very unlikely to consider an electric vehicle, up from 18% in February and 17% in January. More and more people are just saying we're not even interested in electric vehicles. But it's all these things. More money being put into the investigation or switching production lines for electronic vehicles, higher interest rates, shortages. But $48,000 on average. Now, again, that means that's the average. So it means But like, think about it. It means for every, $28,000 car they're selling a $68,000 car as well. 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Have you been in the market for a new car recently? And have you been amazed by the sticker shock? And I'm wondering what people, particularly what average people, do when it comes to, looking and figuring out, okay, my car's on the last legs, and I mean, I need a car to get back and back and forth to work. I need a car to get the kids to, school and to the soccer games and all those things. And my 10-year-old car is kind of on its last legs. Are the price of new cars essentially becoming unaffordable for a huge chunk of Americans? And what do we do with that? Is it, okay, we're going to invest in trying to, keep the cars running, used cars, but the prices of used cars are through the roof as well. All right, have we gotten to the point where for at least average people, it's becoming difficult, if not impossible, to buy new cars? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Hey, I'm John Merkier.
And I'm Sandy Max.
Great news for fans of Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
You can now hear every episode of the show across the podcast universe.
That's right. You'll never have to miss a single interview, story, or fun conversation.
You're not giving in to the process.
Yeah, you're done? You're done.
Well, I was hoping somebody would try and slide a little food. There's a little slot here underneath the door, some cold cuts, pretty thin.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, are you feeling stretched thin by the pressures of growing your business? Well, retaining top talent and staying compliant in changing times, is that a problem as well? Well, fortunately, there's Insperity. They put over 35 years of HR experience to work, offering your employees competitive benefit options while providing the HR support you need to thrive. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Hey, boaters! Now, I wasn't eavesdropping. I just happened to overhear him talking about us. He said if you know what you're looking for, just rummage around. You'll find it. And it's true, because we stock more boat parts and accessories than anyone. Even those oddball parts you thought you'd never find. This is Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
Truly the best supplier around for all of our boating needs. This place is magic. I call it my candy store for boating parts. This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And yeah, I said it, but these are the actual words of our satisfied and loyal customers. Boaters in the know exactly where to go, and there's a reason. We've got it all for our boater buddies. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We've got everything you need but the water.
Hi, I'm Mike Gansey from Yancey & Associates. We're passionate about continuing on our mission to help more Wisconsin businesses create more success. If you have any questions about our insurance products or just want a second opinion about your insurance or employee benefits, I invite you to check out ANSI.com, or better yet, give us a call at Yancey & Associates. And let's have a conversation about your business and how we can help you secure, protect, and grow your version of the American dream.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. A lot of people watching our show today. And I say watching, yeah, because it's a radio show. We always have lots of people listening, but you can also watch it. We live stream. We've got cameras here. Studio's lit up like a Christmas tree, and it's really easy to do that. We've got our own YouTube channel, and also you just go to WTMJ.com. You see a little button that says Watch Live if you want to do that as well. All right, I was actually kind of surprised about this. The average cost, and I think probably a lot of people are, the average cost of a new car in March in the United States, average, $48,008. $48,000. And on top of that, You've got it's not like the days of 0% financing or 1% financing in general. You're talking about 5-6% interest. So in some cases, matter of fact, we have one of our texters says that that looking at the price of a new car, the monthly payment on the new car would be with the interest rate more than the monthly payment on their mortgage. Jeff, I just bought a 23 Nissan truck, $63,000, discounted $5,000 and good interest rates. I'm okay with that, I guess. You've got that there. Jeff, just picking up a new car tomorrow, don't want electric, so decided to bite the bullet before cars got even more expensive. Our Subaru Outback comes in just under the average cost of new cars today. Jeff, as somebody who's purchased about 10 new vehicles, I just can't see spending that much for a car, and it really doesn't do, anything for me. Jeff, we just purchased a new car last month. Our intent was to order a new car, but it was a 6-month wait, and the price was about $10,000 more than we expected. Therefore, we bought a 2-year-old vehicle for the price we intended to pay for the new vehicle. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people are going for, the partially owned vehicles. They go in and say, okay, my budget is, $32,000, and I think I should be able to get a new car for that. And then you go and you find, no, you want that new car, it's going to cost you $42,000, so you go for the used car. Is that what people are doing? 855-616-1620. Let's start with Jim in Kenosha. Jim, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good. What do you think?
Well, I've got a 2019 Kia Concord that I've leased, and my lease buyout on the car was just under $15,000, and it's selling for $24,000 on a used car lot.
Right.
Granted, I got about 20,000 miles on the car. I don't drive a whole lot.
Right.
So I just bought the car at the end of the lease because I was looking at getting into a new car. I looked at Hyundai and Buick, and a bunch. Availability was down.
Right.
And any of the Hyundais I wanted, there was a waiting list, so I just paid cash for the car at the end of my lease, and I don't have a car payment anymore.
Yeah, that sounds like with the math on your lease, it sounds to me like it's a kind of a no-brainer. That is, I mean, especially since your car has relatively low mileage, and you figure you're going to get a lot more years out of it. But isn't it amazing sticker shock to go and look at new cars nowadays?
I used to sell cars back in the early '90s when they'd give a loan to anyone that could breathe.
Right.
And sticker shock is you want how much for what?
Yeah.
And
right. No, thanks. Well, not only that, but the inventory. I mean, I was telling the story the other day. I was if you go to a car lot and you try to buy one off the lot. Now, I mean, I grew up in the era where you go to the car lots and there's, I don't know, you've got 40, 50, 60 different cars that are on the lot. Maybe some of the big dealers, they got hundreds of cars on the lot, and you have no choice. You got lots of choices. Hey, I want a white car. I want it with this feature and that feature. No problem. We'll pull it up. Nowadays, good luck. I was telling the story the other day. I went to a car lot, and they said there were like 7 or 8 of this particular model car on the lot. I get there and they say, well, no, we only have 2, and both of them are in colors not found in nature. And I said, well, but the internet, your website says you've got all these other ones. Well, no, those are in transit. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that they're going to come here. They're coming here. Well, when are they going to get here? Well, maybe a day or two, maybe from a while ago. And so now thankfully it wasn't a problem. I'm telling the story because if you're a regular listener, I had ordered a new car and I actually picked it up over the weekend. Love it. But it's really kind of sticker shock when you sit there and you say, okay, if for all of us who grew up, okay, this is every 3 years you change your car, you get yourself a new car or whatever. These prices just going absolutely through the roof. And especially, I mean, I wonder what happens for those of you who have, I don't know, kids that are driving. You're thinking about, okay, maybe I want to pick up a new car and give my car to the kids or whatever. I mean, what do you do with this? Average price $48,000 plus the interest rate they're charging. Let's talk to Kristen in Saukville. Kristen, you're on WTMJ.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. So I have a 2012 Toyota Highlander. It has almost 238,000 miles on it, And last summer, we were faced with a decision. There were some things going wrong with it. It was going to be a few $1,000s to fix it. And so we're trying to think, should we buy a new car? Should we just fix the one that we have for a few thousand? And we went to we kind of looked at the prices of new Highlanders. And we're like, no, we're just going to throw a few thousand into it. And hopefully it lasts another year or two until this is over. Well, I'm not sure this is going to be over anytime soon.
No, that's the thing, because I don't think interest rates are going to drop dramatically. And especially also, and I'm not making a political comment here, but with all the pressure these automakers are having to convert to like electric and things like that, that's money that's diverted. I think they got to make that money back by keeping prices high. And they're just simply producing more of the higher end cars than the lower end cars, because like I was saying, that's where the profit margin is. You can make more money, higher profit margin selling a $60,000 car than you can selling a $25,000 car. So as long as there's a market, that's where they're going.
Yeah, it's just hard to stomach, but we made that decision.
Yeah, well, good luck. I hope the car lasts for another 3 years. That would be nice, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
No, thanks for calling. No, and I appreciate you wrestle with this. Pete in Sarasota, Florida. Pete, good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, how are you today?
I am well, thank you. Okay, you been looking for a car?
Yeah, we were looking for a car. Usually I keep my cars for about 15 plus years, get a couple 100,000 on them, but I was forced. Unfortunately, my car had 150, had some engine issues, and trying to fix it, it just wasn't worth it.
Right.
So I was looking at a new Bronco, and I went to a dealership, and he gave me a price, and I said I only wanted one. And he said, no,
no, I'm not looking for a package deal, just one. Yeah, okay.
And they jacked up the list price so high, I just couldn't do that, and they were trying to get me to buy this, but I ended up getting a BMW at sticker price at least.
Right.
So I'm satisfied with that. So hopefully this thing will last me a while.
Yeah, well, and also, of course, after the hurricane in Florida, prices of cars, just with so many that were just scrapped, prices just went absolutely through the roof too.
Oh, and that's it. I was looking at a 2 to 3 year old car that had 30,000 almost out of warranty, and they were still asking almost new price.
Yeah, no, and thanks for no. I mean, and I guess the point of this, there's no bad guys here, but it's different. I mean, and this is kind of the point of the Washington Post story. Well, because for the longest time, the idea has been that people, many people, not everybody, but many people could afford new cars. And I mean, look, not everybody could go and buy, a Mercedes and things like that, or a BMW or an Audi. But there was a whole range of cars, and you could go and you could buy a new car with the warranties, and it was affordable for all sorts of different people. That's changed by virtue of all the different things that we've talked about and the interest rate increases and stuff. But the idea of people who don't have a lot of money to put down, or might be in a more precarious financial position or whatever, the idea, if you think you're going to be able to go in and get a car for $18,000 or whatever, it's just maybe they're there, but there are not a lot of them. Jeff, I had to get a new used 2016 car last July. The 2016 cost me $15,000. The previous car I had was 2010, and it cost $7,000 used. I can barely afford a new used car now. Jeff, it's cheaper to fix what you have, maybe. Jeff, I have a new driver. I will have a new driver next October, and we have started looking into a new car for my husband or a used car for my son. Oh, to both options. Well, yeah. Jeff, I'm going to keep driving my 2013 Toyota Highlander. Great vehicle, and new is way, way, way too expensive. Jeff, I found a non-rusty Yukon XL 2016 for $28,000. It has 92,000 miles on it. I couldn't pass it up. 92,000 miles. $28,000. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner. All the glitz and glamour headed our way. And we've rolled out the red carpet just for them.
And a chopper up the third baseline, charging is Anderson. Bare hand throw across his body. Oh, my goodness. Brian Anderson.
It's the Brewers and the Dodgers. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05.
Backhanded by Adames. Throw, one hop to first, in time. Oh, what a play by Adames.
We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Differentiation Officer Brian Wickert reminding home shoppers that working with AccuNet is different and better than working with your bank. Most bank pre-approvals state they've only verified the potential home buyer's credit, but not their income or money for down payment. To us, that's just crazy. AccuNet's rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval tells the seller we've checked out all three aspects of your financial health, and that we'll pay $2,000 if our pre-approval is faulty. Banks don't do that, but they do have a lot of overhead with all their vice presidents and fancy branches. We keep overhead low, which means lower rates and closing costs that are typically $1,000 to $3,000 lower than banks. Most importantly, our loan consultants can show you and your agent how to improve your financing and appraisal contingencies so your offer has the best chance of winning in a multiple offer situation. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Click on the blue button today for your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
To be the best, you have to beat the best. And in order to beat the best, you have to compete with the best. And I'll tell you what, playing with the best equipment doesn't hurt either, especially when it comes to baseball and softball. We truly believe that. And that's why Burkhardt Sporting Goods stocks the Midwest's largest selection of the finest baseball and softball equipment. More bats, more gloves, and more equipment from all the best names. This is Brian Burkhardt, and when you love baseball and softball like we do,
you can't beat Burkhardt.
If you plan on draining buzzer beaters, the place to start is Burkhardt, where you'll find a great selection of shoes and court gear. But what's going to turn you into the next big thing on the court is practice. And there's no better place to do it than on your own court. Having your own hoop is an absolute must to hone your shot. And we'll help you get there with a great selection of basketball hoops and accessories. This is Brian Burkhardt, and I promise you, when you love basketball like we do,
you can't beat Burkhardt.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of the texters has just kind of made my day in a sort of bad way. I hadn't even thought of it. Okay, so like I say, I got a new car, finally got it delivered. And over the weekend, I sent an email to my insurance agent saying, okay, I've just taken possession of this new car. This is what the car is. This is what the purchase price was. And please add it to the insurance policy. And they sent me a note this morning, say, okay, it's on, and you'll be getting a bill. And I hadn't thought of that. One of our texters says, Jeff, the increase in car prices is increasing the cost of new car insurance since it costs more to replace. Yep, that's probably. I haven't looked at what it's going to be, but I'm sure that'll just be another one of these wonderful surprises, which is one of the reasons I'll probably have to work till I'm 90. Right, Wyatt?
Definitely.
All right, there you go. All right, WTMJ breaking news time, 2:32 p.m. from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. Here he is, Wyatt Barmore Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. An update on the bomb threat at a Meijer grocery store in Grafton. It's on Port Washington Road is that particular store. Grafton police say the situation is all clear. The call that came in was a swatting call, and it was one that was made to multiple Meijer locations. Everything is safe there. A month after extending alcohol sales through the end of the eighth inning, the Brewers now going back to cutting off sales after the seventh at games at American Family Field. Earlier this season, the team had made the extension through the eighth because of the shortened games caused by MLB's new pitch clock rules, cutting time off the ball game length. A spokesman telling MLB.com the sale window made little difference in sales, so they're going back to the seventh inning cutoff, and that returns with tonight's game against the Dodgers. The local school board will redo its election tonight after irregularities were found in results from last month's election. The Whitnall School District finding that results for board president, vice president, treasurer, and clerk were reported inaccurately. An unnamed employee has been fired after an investigation. To correct these problems, the board is planning to redo the vote tonight. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. And it looks like things are still hovering right around even. The Dow is down 61 points. The S&P 500 is up just about 3/4 of a point, so they're right at where the line is. And the NASDAQ is up just 10 points. get on track with investment and retirement planning, visit annexwealth.com, click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. We got an accident on, it is 43 southbound. It's a disabled vehicle, actually, on the ramp from 9th Street, blocking the left lane and causing a whole mess there with all the construction up there. We're definitely seeing some delays. Pretty much all brake lights right at Keefe Avenue. We've also, it seems like there might even be something else reported there. Yeah, a crash on 43 southbound, a separate incident at Atkinson and Keefe. That is blocking the left lane. So 43 southbound is really just a mess right now, and probably going to be a mess for a little while there. So if you can avoid that, that might be the right call.
Traffic is sponsored by Evans Transportation Services. Thank heavens for Evans. Rely on one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking. Evans Transportation Services. Family owned for 40 years and continuing to grow. Evans Transportation Services in Brookfield.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Rainy, cloudy, and breezy today, a high of 50. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 45. Tomorrow, becoming sunny, a high of 61. Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high of up to 66 at the lake, all the way to 75 degrees inland. Thursday, mostly sunny, continuing to be warm, high of 68. Friday, showers and a high of 65. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it is 48 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:34.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, another day, another swatting incident. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. A couple years ago, my knee was acting up. As an athlete, I've played through pain before, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't compete in the sports I loved. I decided to check out Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's the best decision I've made. I felt no pressure to have surgery. That was important to me. We had choices. I ultimately did choose to have a procedure. I was in and out in just hours and back in action shortly after. I recommend meeting their doctors. Visit orthowisconsin.com today.
Randy Miller.
No, you're not. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling.
I'm DJ.
Someday you might be the owner of All Right.
Like you and Daddy?
You'll have to learn that our family business is about more than just our family.
Do it right, call All Right.
Yes, but doing things right also means giving back.
When you want it all right, you call All Right. All Right, so many miles away.
If you need a place for new home interior ideas, then you have to come talk to us. Our on-staff decorators know furniture, home decor, and a lot more. And they're not only creative, but also very willing to help you make great choices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee. Stop in often, because our inventory changes daily.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WT.
Eighth inning. And it created, I don't know if it was controversy, but there were people saying, oh, this is going to lead to more drunk driving and things like that, to which I was kind of like, well, I think that was kind of an overreaction. And I've been to, I mean, I'm a season ticket holder. I got partial season tickets. So, I mean, I've been to 3 or 4 games already this year. And I will just tell you, from at least in our area, I saw almost nobody buying beer in the 8th inning, simply because, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons. Maybe it's concern about drinking and driving, but I think it's also a lot of people, even with the faster games, start to leave around that time. In addition, let's face it, I mean, buying beers at the stadium is an expensive proposition. And I think, that very, last call sort of thing, I think, especially as quickly as games move along, I think there's some people say, if I'm in the middle of the eighth inning, I buy a beer, game might be over before I have a chance to drink it. So I didn't think that it didn't seem to me, at least anecdotally, that there was a lot of beer being sold after the seventh inning. And so I think that's what they're saying. The Brewers have announced today that they're going back to where it was before. It's back to the future, and the seventh inning is going to be the last call, once again. Then I think the answer is that it's not, what they're saying is it's not related to problems or anything like that. It's just that concessions, drops off in the later innings. And the fact that, by keeping the beer vendors working in the stands or whatever for another 15 minutes or something, it's really, I think they've kind of concluded it's not worth it. There's just not enough sales to justify having the people do it. So I don't think that is not necessarily a surprise for me. Again, I don't think, if people are saying, oh, this is because there was drunk driving and stuff, no, I just think it's kind of a business decision. A lot of times, why, maybe bars or restaurants that used to be open till, 10 o'clock now close at 9 o'clock because they're finding that there's just not enough late night business to justify them staying open. So, why do we have people, why do we keep people here on salary or something when there's just not that much interest? And I think that's more of it. They just weren't selling enough to, justify the decision to do it. Hey, if you follow me on Twitter, I just sent out a new tweet because sometimes there are these stories where a picture is worth 1,000 words. And nowadays, we see reckless driving stories all over, and you go, man, look at where that car ended up, or wow, boy, I'm glad I wasn't around that. There's something that happened, let me see, it happened, earlier today. And it happened out at the old it's the Columbia St. Mary's Hospital. Now it's the Ascension Hospital in Mequon. And this is like on Port Washington. You can picture it's Port Washington Road and Highland. And it's, it's a relatively big hospital. And if you live, in Ozaukee County or in that area, you're probably familiar with this. I've got a link, and you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Jeff Wagner 620. I've got a link to the Fox 6 story on this. A car crashes into Mequon Hospital entrance. A car has crashed into the Seton Professional Building, which is, part of the hospital complex. And normally you think of a car crash, and the car would, I don't know, drive, parallel into the front of the building. The building has like these sliding doors in the front, and normally you would think that the car would like crash through it with the front of the car, or sometimes if the car's backing up, the rear of the car going through it. The car is parked sideways. It is crashed through the doors, and it is sitting in the entranceway, sideways. I have no idea how a car gets through this and ends up sideways. I mean, that's what I sent out the tweet. It's like I admit I'm curious as to how this car ended up where it ended up, because you look at it and you go, okay, I understand if the car would have, again, gone through, the door is, if you can think of it horizontally, and the car went through vertically or whatever. But the car is inside, the doors are smashed, and the car is inside, again, sideways. How do you get the car sideways? Do you crash through and then try to back up? And I just have no idea, and I'd be just really curious to try to figure out, how did that car get where it ended up? You just kind of think, I'm always wondering about that. So there you have it. All right. Wyatt was bringing you this story as well. And we're going to see more of this stuff happening around schools as we get closer to schools letting out for the summer. You have more complaints of more hoax bomb threats or things like that, because you have some kid who wants to get off for the day or whatever, and so, hey, it's senior skip out day, so I'm going to call in a bomb threat. So historically, May and early June, you see an uptick on that. What we're also seeing an uptick on though are these swatting threats. And we've talked about this on the program before, swatting, and it kind of goes back to the old TV show, SWAT, where you have the reactive team that goes out. And this has been happening a lot all over, where you have a situation where there's a call, for example, that's made and says, I'm at such and such school, I've just killed 4 people and I'm going to kill more. All right, and that call comes into the police department, and then the police department has no choice but to react. They drop everything they're doing, and you have the county sheriff's department, the local police department, and maybe the FBI, and everybody responds to the school, and they go on lockdown, and they freak out all the parents because they send out these email alerts, and it turns out to be just a fake. It happens sometimes with regard to people who get targeted by this. I am at such and such an address. I've just killed, everybody inside the building. I've got a high-powered gun. I'm going to kill anybody that tries to take me out. And so then again, the police have to respond. They evacuate all the neighbors, and it turns out to be just, again, a hoax. Sometimes it's driven by computer-generated calls from overseas. Sometimes it's generated by somebody halfway across the country who has a beef with the person. But this is how, law enforcement, and I get it, they respond to this way because even if you think that this is a hoax and you think it's a fake or whatever, what if you're wrong? What if the guy really is in that school with the high-powered rifle and has done this? Can you imagine what happens if you don't treat it like it's what it purported could be? Well, we've had another example of that. There's a Meijer grocery store that actually is a couple miles up the road on Port Washington Road from the Columbia St. Mary's Ascension Hospital I was just talking about, that somehow has this car sideways in the front entrance. You look at this picture and you go, how did that car get there? Well, anyhow, there was a swatting call made to the Meijer. Apparently, somebody called in a bomb threat at the Meijer grocery store. As a precaution, the building was evacuated. The parking lot was closed. No traffic was allowed into the parking lot. And this turns out to be, again, a completely bogus situation. Officials say other Meijer stores in other jurisdictions, and Meijer's, of course, a national company, they received similar calls. So today was Meijer's turn in the box, I guess, where you had somebody or some group of people or whatever that decided that this is the day that we're going to close down this business and freak out all the neighbors and, create all this chaos. And, the police are between a rock and a hard place because as a practical matter, it's almost impossible to figure out who's doing this. And then, like I say, many times the folks who are doing this are overseas, and so you can't prosecute them anyways. But, here at this Meijer store, I don't know how long it was closed down, but the employees were traumatized. Patrons were traumatized. It was a huge inconvenience. Our number is 855-616-1620. We only got a couple minutes. I'm honestly looking for ideas as this swatting stuff becomes more and more prevalent. How should we handle this? Because our reaction right now is to treat every one of these swatting calls, whether it's at school or a personal residence or a business, to treat it like it is the real thing. That's how we do it. But, of course, maybe thankfully, in almost all cases, it doesn't turn out to be the real thing. But it creates an incredible inconvenience. Now, obviously, the people who are doing it, to the extent you can catch them, you want them prosecuted, but that's very, very difficult. My question is, I guess the justification would be better safe than sorry. Do we continue to allow ourselves to be held hostage to these swatting calls, or do we need to come up with a better way of doing at least some preliminary screening to determine if there's some validity to it? 855-616-1620. I don't have a good answer. Do you? We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Your pain is likely due to a wear and tear process called osteoarthritis. Now, when you combine that with being a little overweight or not being as active as you'd like to be, you get into a downward pain spiral. At Rejuvenex, we control pain by precisely targeting and treating the areas where your pain lives, like shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, with our powerful FDA-approved treatments that cushion and lubricate the affected areas to deliver long-lasting pain relief. Now, like maintenance on a car, to maintain your relief, our team of physicians will follow up with you roughly every 6 to 18 months. My name is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. Rejuvenex is in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief. Really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Hey, this is Jeff Wagner from WTMJ, here to tell you about Built Right furniture, leather, and mattresses. If you're looking for affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses, you really have to do what a couple of my family members did. They went to Built Right. When you get to the store, you're going to find a 45,000 square foot showroom with thousands of furniture items in stock, plus 500 mattresses. This includes a huge selection of USA-made and Amish-made furniture, plus better quality imported furniture for any size home. Also, check out Built Right's over 48 models of in-stock Power Lift recliners. Special and custom orders are much faster in 2023 as well. Free in-store design services available too. And now's a great time to get to Built Right as their 5th generation sale ends Saturday. Built Right, voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association 2023 National Retailer of the Year Award. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for personalized shopping. Call to book an appointment. Sunday they're closed to be with family. When you get there, do yourself a favor, do me a favor as well, and I know a lot of you do this. Tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to Built Right, 54th and Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors. CertainTeed Diamond Level Select Shingle Masters. The best of the best. And that's why you can feel confident in choosing us to install your new roof.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure businesses throughout Wisconsin. As a family-owned, independent agency, customer satisfaction is our first and foremost priority. Our approach is relationship-driven and solutions-oriented to your individual needs and risk management for each customer. As one of Wisconsin's top 10 insurance agencies and among the top 5% of agents nationwide, Ansay & Associates can provide all of your insurance needs, from business, commercial, to employee benefits. Ansay & Associates is more than insurance. Ansay & Associates is your business solutions partner. Visit ansay.com today and get a free consultation with one of our strategists. Or come see us in person at any of our local offices. Ansay & Associates, securing and protecting your American dream.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, there is a fella I know who has been swatted over 10 times, lives on the east side. He obviously has an enemy. Well, yeah. And I guess you would think that, and I'm not criticizing law enforcement for the response here, but you get the call from the school, oh, I've got the gun, I've just shot 3 or 4 people, or, so-and-so is in this particular location. Hi, I'm so-and-so, I've just, killed my wife, killed my kids, I've got a gun, I'm ready to go. I mean, and the response is you evacuate the neighbors, you go there and it turns out to be completely bogus. Obviously, in some cases, it's perhaps easier. A lot of times, these organized things, and if you're just tuning in, the Meijer grocery store in Grafton got swatted this morning. Oh, there's a bomb in the store. And so, authorities, they close down the store, they close down the parking lot, they evacuate everybody. I don't know if the store's shut down for an hour or 2 hours, it loses all this business, it creates all this consternation, and it's part of a nation. Apparently, there were Meijer stores in all sorts of other jurisdictions that had the same thing happen. One of our listeners, Kelly, texts in and says, look, Jeff, how can they not figure out who's doing this with the technology that we have these days? Well, I understand it, and I get that, but part of it is, especially with like the internet and stuff. Remember all the swatting calls that came out like last spring against the schools, and it was this computerized voice that did that and those things, and it turned out to be somebody overseas. And if this is happening out of Russia or Lithuania or whatever, your chances of identifying who's doing it are probably slim to none, and your chances of prosecuting are slim to none. I would love to see law enforcement get together and really put their heads together, though, and try to figure out some way of verifying, or at least some preliminary thing to try to figure out, okay, some stopgap instead of simply saying we're going to drop everything and rush out. And I understand that's tough because, even if 99 out of 100 are going to be bogus, you want to have a quick response to the one that isn't bogus. But as more and more of the swatting stuff goes on, I just think we've got to figure out a way to at least do some preliminary screening to weed out the completely bogus ones. Otherwise, we allow the swatters to hold ourselves hostage. When we come back, let's find out what Greg Matzek has on his mind. He's in for John today on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzek. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:30 for Matzek's Morning Minute. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams,